And away we go. We're back. We're live.
S Club. There ain't no party like an S Club party. Gonna show you how.
And we've obviously gotten to the stage of the tournament we all lose our goddamn minds.
Chad's vibing. I lost my mind yesterday.
You did break your mind yesterday.
In the shuttle
you
drive
broke
back.
my mind yesterday.
I think I lost.
Were you guys in the same shuttle?
I thought for a second that I did lose Jason as a friend.
Really?
Which I thought was going to be impossible. So this is what happened,
The
Chad.
podcast was almost over after 16 episodes.
This is what happened, Chad. So we get into the shuttle. It's like 6 of talent.
Okay.
And then as we're about to go, they say, oh, is it okay if you drop this one person like off at the Hilton? It's along the way. Or at the arena, it's along the way.
I didn't even hear that part. I just
They said something like that. And I was like, no. And then someone else said like, he's just joking, like it's fine, like it's along the way, it's fine, right?
Okay.
But I hate that,
Well, if it was along the way,
because it's also it's not just the part whether it's a detour or not. It's like that really you have no idea who the person is, if they're listening. You have to understand. We had content days and game and broadcast days. There's no off days for us.
It's true.
So the only time we can decompress is when the day is over. And like shoot the shit and vent and whatever, right? So that means that, but that wasn't the problem. So we're driving along, we drop off the guy, we keep going after that, and we run into like bumper to bumper traffic.
It would have been peak hour time.
And I check we already been driving for 10-15 minutes. I check on Google Maps, it says 22 minutes still, right? Which is a lot. Usually the whole trip takes around 15 minutes. So we're going for 10 minutes like that. 12 maybe. We're just about to go around the bend. And the driver just makes a U-turn. And everyone starts feeling a little bit uncomfortable, like what's happening? Are we, whatever's going on.
We're playing good music at this point, too.
And
we're having a good time.
Vibes were high.
The music
morale
is
is at an all-time high.
The music is kind of important. But, so he turns down I say hotel name, and it's like, yes. I repeat it because it's and he's like, yes. 10 minutes later, we're back at the venue. Not going into it, just passing by it. So we go the other way around to get to our hotel, which if he had checked Google Maps like I did when we left, would have seen that it's also traffic there.
Okay.
So something that should have been, even with traffic, a 30, 40-minute trip turned out an hour and 20 minutes. So at the point where he made the U-turn, or maybe a little bit before that, I've kind of had enough.
Okay.
I've started losing my sanity.
Fair enough.
Mine is bigger than Jason's. I mean,
sanity?
Speaker. So
okay.
Jason was playing music. First it was like, whatever, it's fine. Then Anders has the worst song requests in the world.
As we all know.
Yeah.
The fact that you let him request songs is a problem.
So at some point,
1 in 10.
I just pulled mine out, speaker, and started playing whatever I wanted to play on max volume.
I see. So there was a competition.
So that
in
first
the van.
offended Jason a little bit. He thought that wasn't cool. But then I started playing some ridiculous shit.
I thought it was funny because Yanko requested a song that I added to the queue, and he took over the speaker once his song came on. So I was just like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, that was 3 songs in between. So I started playing I started with X Gonna Give It To You, which is a banger. But then I started playing some polka.
Okay.
Some Shostakovich, Waltz number 2.
Some sea shanties.
Sea shanties. There was...
the polka was also in Polish. So
Did you turn your music off at this point?
I did turn my music off. I wasn't going to do a dueling speaker situation.
He can't fight with me. We have a saying in Serbia. You can't you can't go against... how do you call the big thing that takes...
a digger?
Yeah, you can't go at a digger with a shovel. Okay. So I was the digger, he's the shovel.
It's kind of the equivalent of don't bring a knife to a gunfight.
Yes, exactly.
I see, okay.
So there was a lot of different music being played, and I kind of lost it at that point. We ended with Tiesto and Just Be.
Wow.
So
did the music make it until the hotel, or did the vibes die?
The vibes died, but the music still made it. Towards the end, he started playing Disney music, which I can get on board with.
I played the theme song from Anastasia and then The Circle of Life.
Yeah.
If you played anything from Aladdin, I would have been appreciating that.
I asked for Little Mermaid.
You didn't get Little
Under
Mermaid?
the Sea. I didn't get Under the Sea.
I said there was a lot of animosity.
Yeah, Yanko, what did you say?
Can I say that?
I don't know if you can say it. Probably. Maybe if just play it safe. This is also why we don't like randoms in the shuttle.
Yeah.
This conversation right
But the
here.
random was out of the shuttle at this point, right?
Yeah, he was out of the shuttle.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so last
There's
night
that.
your journey home was
extended.
treacherous.
And then we were going to record the podcast when your game ended and you got back. And you also had a situation in the shuttles.
Yeah, so I was waiting for, as we do, after we finish casting, we're waiting for the desk to finish up their segment, which is fine, right? We're not in a rush. I'm not on anybody's clock other than ESL's, right?
Team attitude. Wait for the
Yeah,
desk.
yeah. So we're waiting, and we weren't going to leave them behind. So we get in the shuttle, and away we go. And as we're heading down this road, there's an awful lot of traffic on the other side of the road. Our side is clear. We're just fucking going. And I'm like, this is great. We'll be home in no time. And then our boy,
U-turn.
the road was blocked. He didn't have a choice. He didn't have an option. There were just like cones and there was like, I don't know, I think maybe it was construction or something going on.
Hence the traffic in the other direction.
Exactly. And so he's
10
now,
p.m. at night.
he's now turned and now we're in that traffic. And I'm realizing every minute that goes by is one less minute of sleep I get having to wake up at 8 a.m. to then leave here just after 9 to get to the venue to then do media. So I thought it would probably be better to not record until 1 o'clock in the morning so that I could have sleep to then do media, then HLTV confirmed, and then come here and do another one. So that was why we didn't record last night. So I apologize to everybody who maybe was going to be excited about that, but I did have to prioritize my sleep. That won't happen again. Don't worry. I will never do that ever again.
It's okay. We'll give it to you this one time.
I felt so bad, but I didn't have a choice. And
No,
then when
it
I
was
got
fine.
back, I saw F here in the lobby. She's arrived.
Yep.
And she didn't lose her bag, so that's lucky her.
We had sushi with her last night.
Oh, yeah?
We had a chat, little introductory sushi dinner.
How's she doing?
She's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
She just came from Worlds.
Lucky her. Doing
Yeah.
the world tour of the big events.
Yeah. She's on the road
Must
for
be nice.
7 weeks. So
Surprised she
she's
didn't do TI.
she's a little burnout.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But she's in Brazil now, and the weather's beautiful. No, it was a little bit sunny today.
Yeah, for a while.
Yeah, Yanko and I were going to go to the pool. And I went down there and I was just like, look, we got to pull the plug on the pool idea. It's windy. It's cold. Starting to sprinkle a little bit. Tomorrow's supposed to be nice, though. Tomorrow's 80 degrees.
You and I have been enjoying swims in the ocean.
Yeah, we've been doing the morning ocean.
I saw Mouse went down there today, and they actually went in, like in. And it was, it's calmer out there at the moment.
Is
like,
it?
yeah, I think I'd be interested to see if that holds for tomorrow or not. But if it is, I would like to actually get in there and get out the back.
We've had some spicy days in the water where you can tell the undercurrent, the undertow is it's a bit aggressive.
Yeah, and most people can't spot rips either, which does get a little bit dangerous for some of these Europeans, right? So they're not used to the ocean, they're more used to the sea, which is fine. But there is some dangers out there. And I'm not talking about sharks. I'm just talking about, the rips.
Red flags all down the beach.
Yeah. Not on the social medias.
There's caipirinhas there, too. Those are
Yeah, the beach is a danger zone.
That's a transition and a half. That's
Isn't
how we
it?
pulled it off. Let's get into the ugliness before we can get back to the happiness. We felt we had to bring this up because we obviously talked about the config situation a few episodes back. A little bit of a Sadicus situation occurred, as most of you would well know with the articles that were released. And yeah, he's been removed from the event and flown home.
Yeah, I mean,
That's the long and the short of it, I suppose.
Yeah, that's-
and moving swiftly on.
And now the games.
Yeah, I mean, it's just, I was there. I was in the conference room when everything was happening. Matt came to me before stuff happened. And, I mean, he was drunk. He was belligerently drunk. He was slurring. He just had too much to drink, and the conflicts that happened, he was obviously in the wrong. I didn't see, there were no punches exchanged or anything like that. I saw no physical.
You didn't get hit in the face. We saw that one on the social.
Yeah.
Yeah, the black eye. Yanko's
Someone was like, he had a black eye in the broadcasters. I was like, what the
I was
fuck?
like, what? Please. But, yeah, it was just like unnecessary. It was weird. Like he was in the wrong, the way he handled himself. And, it's just something that should have never have happened. And ESL did, I think, the only right thing, and did the only thing they could do, which is send him home. And, luckily we have plenty of people here who just jumped in. I mean, Anders is your natural also co-caster, but even if it wasn't, like, Dinko would be next in line. They're all great, like, guys. So yeah, I don't even want to say I don't think it's going to put a stain on the event or anything. I think the event just moved swiftly along. It just like sucks to, in all the hype and everything cool that's been going around this event, that there's, this like shit detail that's going on there. But yeah,
We always say you can't have a major without drama.
That's
well,
true.
we say every major, one talent has a meltdown.
Yeah.
Right? It happens every major. Someone has like a whatever. But this is really, Chernobyl levels.
Yeah, this was excessive even for our standards.
Yeah, I just want my level of involvement in this was the night before. It was after midnight when I made this tweet, and I saw people conflating my tweet, which was about, I think like there were some musicians who arrived or whatever, and I was trying to go to sleep like at midnight, and there was a lot of ruckus down in the lobby that I could hear from my room because I'm just above the lobby right here, this room, right? And my tweet had nothing to do with the incident because that incident actually happened the following night. And so I saw some people who were referencing my tweet to do with what happened. And I was like, well, no, it's got nothing to do with what happened. And also, I just want to say that I have nothing to add to this because I was in bed. Yeah, whack it on if you want. I was in bed and I had no involvement, no visual interactions with this scenario, so I can't really comment on what did or did not happen as I wasn't there, and that's not me passing the buck. I quite truly was in bed.
Yeah, I was up in bed too, and got a message. So I was brought in after most of everything went down to in more of the damage control phase of the situation. The more of the let's get some people down here that can help put an end to this situation that has already gone on for far too long. So yeah, I didn't really see anything that occurred except for the TV. Which was in the articles. And yeah, I don't have much. I mean, it's just one of those things. As you mentioned, like Anders, my natural partner, the way this year kind of worked out was Anders Blast, Sadicus DSL. And one of those conversations that I had with Matt at the beginning of the year was like, you got to prove, like at Katowice, is like, you got to show that you want to be here and you got to show that you're interested in being part of this product. And you got to show that that you respect the game and the job enough to actually continue doing a good job the way you used to. And that's kind of the big goal for this year is you showing that it's something that I'm going to invest my time into and that ESL is going to invest their resources into as well as having you part of these products. And I think obviously for me, like I think for him too, it's like this kind of situation was just a reflection of not being that invested into the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, but this is the thing. Like I don't want to expand on this too much. Matt is extremely talented, right? I will always maintain that stance. Matt is extremely talented at what he does. He is very gifted at play-by-play commentary. He's even, we know a little bit more insight about Matt and his family and stuff, so we know that he has good influences in his life to do with presenting, right, and being able to speak well and controlling his diaphragm, all things that I have no idea how to do. Matt in what he does is very talented, but the flip side of this is actions have consequences, and you've seen the consequences. The people at home, right, who have been reading about this stuff, the thing is, I hate it. It's such a platitude, but it is what it is. Right? Yeah. It happened. There was a fallout, and that's it. Right? That's as far as this goes in my mind.
Yep. And
done and dusted.
Cheers. Cool. All right. Moving on swiftly. The legend stage is over.
That was quite quick. We handled that with grace and poise.
I felt the same way. We're
Shout out to Machine one time.
Yeah. Was it tact without no? Honesty without tact is cruelty.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Alex Machine Richardson quote.
That's very deep.
No, I don't know where he got that one from.
Himself.
Did he make it himself?
Coach quotes Twitter.
So,
I don't know. I don't know. Man, this is the thing. I don't know why people mock you about the coach quotes. The coach quotes. The thing is, like, people looking at those and go, oh, just fuck it. No, but, like, if you actually buy in and believe those words as a team and as a system, it will actually make a difference to the way that you approach life and the video game.
Yeah, let's not. I mean, no, it's like it's a whole thing. If you look at organizations in like competitions and how they go about doing things, it's like repeating, like, setting goals and just repeating them from multiple sides. And
well, they also mostly have to do with, I think, the last aspect of competition that the players, especially young players, think about, which is the mentality. Yeah, and fans. His mentality and is the way you kind of approach things and is the way you kind of go at it as a competition and as your job. And I think as older people and more experienced people and people coming in for Yanko and I as coaches, those are two of the big issues that we have probably seen in the players is those kinds of mentalities that those quotes technically go after. So yeah.
It's about building a culture and getting those people to buy into it though, right? Like that's the thing. When we talk about like coaches and in-game leaders and structure and everything, a lot of the time for people who haven't played team sports or haven't done anything at a high level like that, they don't really understand what that scenario is. Even for us to have high camaraderie is a big deal because that we felt on the broadcast. If we're having a good time, we're going to show it.
And it comes through to you as viewers.
Bro, this is a great topic. Let's talk about this before we get into the game. So first, what you said about culture. I think in my first interview I gave to HLTV or whoever, when I joined MIBR, I said or after I was in the team for a little while, it's like I want to establish a culture. So what that meant was like, I know that Fallen and Fur and Cold and Stewie and Tarek are all still individuals who are capable of winning tournaments, right? Like they're skilled enough, they're mechanically good enough, they're smart enough, and so on. But I also felt that because of their prior successes, they were reluctant to change and do things in a different way. And in the meanwhile, the game has evolved, people have gotten better. You can't just bully people, doing the same old, right? So it was like kind of understanding that you need to change some habits, remove others, add different ones, right? And probably we didn't have more success because, I failed to establish that at a level that I would have liked. But we had a talk, me and Jason, today with Outsiders and Fnatic, and I discussed this, I think, on the desk about Vitality and G2. So this is the talking point is this. Vitality and G2 for me are very, very similar.
Yes,
Why?
I
Because
agree.
those are teams who were last year 2 and 3, whatever, at different times. They were like right behind Navi the whole year. And they both made significant changes coming into this year. And the changes were made, we are making these changes to go from 2 to 1, know?
Yes.
So the team is formed and the changes are made with that in mind. So, and that is like known to the players, whether it was directly said to them, even if it isn't, that's like the atmosphere around the team, right? So you're thinking like if you're a player coming into, for example, if you're Alexi B coming into that, if you're the Danes coming to Vitality, you're like, so it's number one or bust. Everything else other than being the best team in the whole fucking world is not good enough. That's an insane amount of pressure.
Yep.
To begin with, like to come into a team with, to try to build things, right? And I think both of those teams are not finding as much success as they'd like or they expected, because it's like, you could tell Vitality guys, when I see them play, they're always stressed. They're always stressed. When they're winning, they're stressed. When they're losing, they're stressed. I bet when they won Pro League, they didn't feel happy. They just felt relief. Like we won an event, like it's there in the history books, whatever, like, because you know how much is invested, you see all the support staff that you have, you feel like you're being set up for success, you have everything you need, you have people who know how to win, who've done it multiple times, but it's not that simple. Because you look on the flip side of that, and we talk to Outsiders, and what, I asked Outsiders the question, what is it that you have that no one else has that can help you, that can make you win the tournament, right? Like win the major. And then and Flitz said something like,
they all live together.
We've been living together like for a year, been going through the same things like together. I see this guy for 17 hours a day, like we just have such a tight bond and we're on the same page. And I think that can give us an edge against some of the other teams. And then you talk to Fnatic and they say the same thing in terms of we're on the same, because I asked them, like, you haven't been a team that long, but it feels like you really trust each other in game. Like you can tell, like there's a lot of good team play and so on. There's a lot of trust. And they said the similar thing. It's like, just everyone's, we feel like even though, we are not team for a long time, we feel like we've been together for a long time.
So they found
like
good personalities.
Yeah, and Roy's saying like also the org has been working on like kind of making sure that we function well outside of the game and that we spend time together because they feel and we feel that's important to having success. And there's your answer. Like you have to, if I were gonna talk to Apex and tell him, if he asks me what do you think we need to do to be better, why can't he? I would say, dude, try to make it fun for yourself and for the team, right? Like, he's always like he extremely hard worker. All of them are. I mean, Zonic is as well, right? But it's like after some point, the amount of work, it becomes, how do you say it, counterproductive, right? It's doing more harm than good. So
it's the same concept.
I don't know what your thoughts are on this whole thing.
I tried to bring that same thing into Liquid, where it was like, you guys obviously aren't having any fun together, and it's not like you have to be like some fucking lovey family and like, jolly with each other all the time.
Friends.
But if you're not enjoying the process and having fun with the process, you lose an element of creativity, right? You lose an element of wanting to speak up and wanting to say, this is what I want to do, or I think this is a cool idea, let's experiment with this. Or you run into the problem of before a practice game, like nobody saying, hey, we should really work on this, I want to try like pushing short more often this game. You lose that kind of creativity and communication between teammates and players that prevents progress from being made, because nobody is having a good time and they're just coming in doing the job and leaving. And when it gets boiled down to that basic element, at the end of the day, this is a game. And like if you boil it down to just coming in and just doing your basic job and just the bare minimum, like you're never going to improve and you're never going to get better. And that's part of the reason why it was kind of obvious to me that changes had to be made.
Yeah, you know what's curious, right? Just to build off of a lot of what you guys are talking about here, and it's great to get that knowledge from the conversation that you had today. But the outside is one that I find is a bit of a sticking point here. Is Yakinda would constantly say that they were just teammates, this was work, remember? That was his standpoint. So it's curious that the new roster is different to that, at least in the mindset. Or was that just Yakinda and he felt that way? That's curious, because those are two, they don't match up, those two different perspectives on the situation. That's interesting.
Well, yeah, I'm not really sure. I think also, since they had to become outsiders, it's been a bit more difficult for them, especially now with a five-man Russian lineup. Yeah. They're mostly outside the country, right? So that's why they spend more time together.
And Yakinda
Kickers from Kazakhstan. Just want to make
sure.
That's
true. Kickers from Kazakhstan. And in the Yakinda lineup, Yakinda is obviously Latvian, and they had Buster, who's also Kazakhstani.
Yeah.
I know, Yakinda is a very dominant personality, and I don't mean that in any kind of crazy way. He just is someone who takes over the energy of the room when he's there. He's very charismatic.
He's arrogant.
Okay.
Well, there's a pro and a con to it.
It's a fine line, and I used to think until recently that he's walking it, like he is more on the confidence side of it. But I think not by a lot. I think he's slightly arrogant, and I think it's also he's young, and I think he'll realize. Sure. In a little while, what's the difference between the two? This is not like a stab or a shot at him. I just think he probably would benefit him to tone it down a little bit and kind of.
In the interviews, it felt toned down.
Like you have to be look at you have to have an attitude if you're one of the best players in the world, right? That's almost it's a good thing to have, but just. To which levels, that's where it's
I think you can fall, depending on your perspective of it, you can fall on either side of that and say it's a good thing or a bad thing. For me, I look at it and I'm like, good. I want Liquid.
For Liquid,
I want Liquid
to have an
attitude. I want Liquid to have, even if it's arrogance.
But look, it's not. How do you bring that to the rest of the team? It's not that I disagree with your sentiment there, right? But if your teammates start to see what you're doing, as Yanko's saying, as arrogance and not confidence, then you have more of a problem.
Well, I can. Oh, that's
holy moly! Red beans and ravioli.
It's raining cats and dogs out there.
This is great with the window wide open. We get a bit of a view here. Sorry,
Shay's Lounge. You're having a good time. I know. Where was I going to go?
And also, just sorry before you start your point, I just want to say, Chad, OJ Borg replied to my photo, and the view said "narrow at rest." So you look like an emperor.
Oh,
OJ's coming in.
Yeah, he'd be here tomorrow. Yeah. All right.
I was going to say. I mean. You could take from it what you will, but all reports of him within Team Liquid are great. Everything we've heard from Team Liquid in interviews, and that obviously doesn't always tell the story, and sometimes those interviews are very prettied up and, have a nice coating around them, but everything that we've heard even behind the scenes is that Yakinda coming in and changing the environment within the team for a positive. So I'm not going to come down too hard on the arrogant side of it just yet, although I agree some of that seems to be bleeding. I think his most recent interview that I saw was the one where he said he thinks he's the smartest player in the world, and that's something you have to think. But maybe keep that one buttoned up.
For example, and also I just want to be on the record and say I think without a doubt Yakinda is a net positive for Liquid. Yeah. And I don't think he hurts the team with his whatever. But you know what Olofmeister would say? When he was the best player in the world, he would say, "I don't think I'm the best, but I don't." What was?
I don't think anyone else is better than me.
Yeah, I don't think
I'm the best player, but there's nobody else who's better than me. And that was such a baller quote.
Which is a baller quote. It's a cool way to say it, and it's sort of a.
I wonder if he
arrogant,
came up with,
but not arrogant.
Do you think he came up with that, or do you think he saw that in an interview from someone else?
From coach quotes.
Back to the coach quote.
No, man.
So just I
gotta Google it.
No, I was gonna say look at the teams that have been the best in the world for the last 2 years. It's Navi and FaZe, right? And we've heard from Twist ever since he joined FaZe that he loves the atmosphere and he was always trusting Kerrigan from day one, right? Even when they were losing, they had a really bad year, but they spent that year almost kind of building that up and creating that bond and building that trust between themselves, right? So when they added the final piece, their CS became good enough and they had good enough players that could actually matter, right?
Yeah.
Your brotherhood, friendship, whatever is not gonna, get you a championship win if you're playing shit CS or you don't have good enough players, but it can be the difference maker within the top 5. And you look at Navi on the other side, I don't know them as well, I can't tell as much, but they've also had same or similar players for a very long time. You know, like Simple and Electronic been together for a long time. Blade has been there for a while. Perfecto even now, like almost 3 years. So it took them time as well to figure all that stuff out. It's not like they were built like teams that are the best. They became gradually the best. It wasn't like, you know, phase of 2017. Like just we had Guardian. We're supposed to be number one, and we become number one. Like I think those days are, you know, long gone.
Yeah, but I think that expectation from people that don't quite see it or understand it, right? So that in itself is a bit of a drama, like trying to communicate that. And this is the thing, from our experiences, like with what we're talking about now, it's a pitfall. It's part of. Holy shit! It is really bucketing down. Holy shit! I don't think it's rained this heavy the whole time we've been here.
No, it doesn't seem like it. We had dinner plans tonight. We might have to cancel.
No, we can still go, mate.
Did you bring a rain jacket?
Yes, I did. It's actually
Lucky mother.
I just need a proper meal because I haven't been eating properly since I've been here, which is great for the waistline, but not great for the mental.
It is great for the waistline.
Yeah.
I always feel so thin when I go back home to the States.
Mate,
and within a week, I'm just like, baby, I feel bloated. I feel fat. I feel gross.
It's all that fucking cornstarch in the American food, mate.
Yeah.
Now you're healthy.
I'm getting there.
Yeah, the boss does some yoga. You're fucking all on top of it, mate. You're out there running. You got dogs. I see you with a chainsaw. Jason's living a great life. He's like a fucking lumberjack.
I'm doing my best when I go home.
Look, when I see you at home, it makes me sitting in my bedroom doing fuck all. Just go, what the fuck am I doing?
Well, you're sitting in Malta. You go to the ocean every single morning. Yeah, so it's fucking great.
I gotta fix that.
It's a sea.
Well, look, this is the thing. It's hard.
Americans and geography.
He's correct. It took me so long to start calling it the sea every time, but we had the ocean out here. But to dial back in, this is one of the pitfalls in my career as a player. Is not understanding what I needed to do as a captain and in-game leader of the team to nurture a culture of 4 other individuals, a coach and a manager while overseas, living in America, traveling. Like I didn't have the mental capacity or understanding. If I could go back now, they would all be things at the top of my list to make sure my focus was on. Obviously the gameplay too, you know, I'd make sure I wouldn't get caught running around corners with nades in my hand. That was probably towards the top too. But understanding how to nurture the correct environment and be there for my teammates. That was one thing that, you know, I expected everybody to be a functioning adult like I was, and I wasn't a fully functioning adult either. So, fuck yeah.
This is great, like background.
Yeah, open the door. Let's get the ambiance in there.
Really?
No, but
all right. I can. No, but
really,
that's one of the things that
you can't see like 50 meters ahead. You can't see because of the rain.
We can't see the lagoon. Yeah. I just wish that, and this is one of the things, if I ever become a coach, you two have already spoken about it here, but it's one of those things where...
So you're saying there's a chance?
Yeah, that was ominous. What do you mean, if you ever become a coach?
You mean when?
Yeah, when?
I will coach one day.
Ooh, well,
back to Australia, buy a plot of land.
I've spoken about you two in this before. No, I've mentioned it, and I've used you two as the example alongside of Henry as well.
Of why you don't want to do it?
No, not of why I don't want to do it, but look, you guys, you went difficult to level 9,000.
Yeah,
let's go to already established teams and see if we can make them better.
Yeah, that's
I'm going to go, let's go all the way back to Australia, grab a bunch of plucky kids, find, you know, a good star or two, and then work on it and do what you're talking about, build this team over time, right? So I don't think I could ever try and do what you guys did, and not because of how it panned out, just because to buy that respect from players, for me,
it's hard.
I don't know how I would be able to do it.
Well, I mean, for me personally, I would only go and at the time coach those 2 teams because I knew I had their respect already, right? Like that's why I didn't want to go somewhere else, you know, because it's hard to do it. But I want to say something, go back just to what you were saying about your time as a player, and if you could bring it back, like it's also hard to fault you or anyone for that because it's a very fine line you need to walk because it's a result driven.
Yeah, true.
Like you are competing, like results matter. You can't go for a year and not do anything, right? And say, oh, we're just, you know, we're working on the atmosphere. I mean, maybe you could. I don't know. It depends on your. In my opinion, that's too much.
With how frequently they paid us, so you probably could have.
So you have to be very, you know, either deliberate or have to be very careful and put a lot of thought into how do you balance it out, where you are trying to create a healthy atmosphere and build a culture, but also, you know, not bombing out every tournament while you're doing it, right? Like your focus is on that, but hey, we're still good enough to have a certain level of results.
Mate, I was snowed under. I was fucking snowed under.
Yeah.
I was
Tell me about
performing poorly, trying to come up with new approaches to the game, not completely understanding what I was even meant to be doing, right? Like trying to refine a game of Counter-Strike for me and my team instead of looking at the broader picture. If I was sleeping on mattresses on a kitchen floor, I think and I know Fallen and stuff, right? They smashed it, but we had a whole different experience compared to those boys, right? Our experience was you're in a hotel room in Las Vegas, and then every day you go to literally a room without windows. It was a condemned room in the hotel with no windows, and it smelled bad as fuck because the shower and the thing had never been used. I had to fucking fix that in the hotel, and it was just a miserable experience, right? And I'm not saying sleeping on the mattress in someone's house wasn't, but right, they were together all the time. They'd built that brotherhood. We were separated.
And you were in fucking Vegas. Of all
yeah,
places.
we weren't together. I didn't have that togetherness, and that's where I fucked up in the second phase of Renegades. The first phase, we were together. It was us against everybody else, and then after I fucked up.
That was one thing I really felt.
I just want to say I can relate to the dark rooms with no windows from doing like all these things in Katowice, like this warehouse where they have no exposure to sunlight. It affects your mood for sure.
Yeah, I had that same experience in Liquid. We had the amazing facility that they had. We weren't in a dark room or anything like that, but it was also during COVID time, so the whole city was shut down. So we couldn't actually do anything as a team. There was no like team dinners you could go out to. You couldn't just go like enjoy the city. You couldn't just go take your mind off Counter-Strike. There was no like real, I guess, like team building environment to do in, because it's like the only option you had is go up to your room and play video games on your own, or sleep, or go down to the gaming room and play with the team that you've been with every single day.
Yeah,
I've never felt worse mentally than when COVID hit, because what happened was COVID hits, everything moves online. You have veteran players who
they don't give a fuck.
If it was online Counter-Strike, they would have retired probably, right? Which I mean, all of did sort of, and
we call that quiet quitting.
The TOs just changed formats to add more games.
Oh yeah,
right, because it was no extra cost for them, more whatever. It was ridiculous. I played one time. We did this Pro League season in 2020, the first half, and I played like 10 best of threes in 13 days. And Serbia had a curfew, so after 5 p.m. you can't leave your home, like from 5 p.m. until 6 a.m. the next day. So I'm playing a game. So I get up. I go round the thing through the prep. We play a warm up map, whatever. We play the game, and we were having these losses like 2-1 every time, 16-14 overtime, like shit game after shit game, right? Like tough losses. It would have been easier to lose 16-2, and then you can't even go out to walk for a walk. I have like an hour, and then I have to start watching shit for tomorrow's game, right? And it's like going and going and going. I like feel like I'm losing my mind here. Like this is like actually insane.
Torture.
Like it's unreal. And the worst thing was at the start of 2020 we were sick. Like we figured it out. We moved Brocky to op, all of back on the lurk. We had those close games against Navi at IEM. Like they stomped everyone.
That's
and we almost like beat them. So we felt like, kind of we're number 2, we stomped Liquid at Blast 2 times. It was the one where Cold gets up and screams at them. So it's like you feel like you were on an upwards trajectory, like you were skyrocketing, everything was going great, and then all of a sudden everything starts going to shit. And Olaf retires, then you have to figure it out, and blah, 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 blah. And
the rest is history.
Yeah, so it's rough. Like it's really, you have to pay attention to that shit because it matters.
Now, speaking about culture, which is what we've been doing right now, guys, I have to ask a very serious question to the two of you. And unfortunately, Mohan isn't here, so I can get him in. But someone in the Reddit thread said that you guys were laughing at me, and that hurt my feelings. Were you guys laughing at me?
When
I was trying to update everybody about the Dexter Tech situation, man. Were you guys laughing at my expense?
Not at your expense. I think we were laughing at.
I was laughing at you. I was laughing at you, but not the way people think. I was laughing because you're just funny.
Like you get a little bit up.
When you get fired up, like it's. I was laughing because I loved it when you get. I love it when you get fired up.
You guys can be honest with me.
So I was laughing in a positive way, and I was laughing like because I can tell how much it mattered to you.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, it was that part of it was. Like you were really invested in that.
I was laughing because I think that whole conversation was like 45 minutes.
Sorry, everyone.
No, it was fine. It was fine. It was good. But I had to give like the 3 like, all right, let's move on. We've kind of nailed this one on the head about 10 times. Let's move on. And then it would go back into it and it's like, all right, hey, games, let's move.
And then after that, of course, articles start coming out with Chopper. It's like, we're better off.
Yeah, that next day had to feel good for you.
Well, no, look, I want to make this clear. right? This is the thing.
You hate Dexter.
No, that's the thing. I don't. He unfollowed me on Twitter.
Oh dear.
But that's fine. Look,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
fine. It's fine. I get it. I understand. That's okay. I don't hold that against him by any means. But I don't dislike him as a player. I think he's a very good player. I just want to make this clear. I think he's a very good player. I think he's very influential. I like watching him play. I think him as a personality, when I see him in interviews and with his teammates doing all that, is great. I just think that unfortunately he's young and was a little bit callous with his words, and I've definitely been there before. I've been that fucking idiot before, and so I just want to let the people at home know I have nothing against Dexter. I just I felt that there was a little bit of callousness there that needed to be corrected.
Yeah, and we're also, I mean, it's one of the byproducts too of us being closer to the side of the product that was offended most by the tweets, right?
But the thing is, it's not like the product came to me and said, "Hey, Chad, go out here and do it." It's the people who I am friends with, and I don't want to get into this again. And the people who I see as colleagues, and that to me was the reason I took offense to that, right? We touched on it last week, or last time we recorded. The technical issues, nobody wants it, right? And I don't want to fucking harp on this. We didn't have many technical issues at all.
Once they were figured out, yeah.
Yeah, and there's some, in the legend stage, make sure we make that clear. There's definitely some people out there who are trying to rewrite history and say this has been one of the events with the most technical issues as far as the major is concerned. I don't think it takes a whole lot. We could sit here and deconstruct that, and we don't need to, because that as a message is bullshit, right? That's not the case. And when people see these tech issues pop off at the start of games, traditionally a lot of the time, it is players adjusting their microphones in TeamSpeak because they weren't prepared for the crowd noise, right? You need to adjust your either...
Yeah, you're doing it on the fly as well.
Exactly,
right?
Right?
Volume gate or...
Exactly. So that's why a lot of them happen, right? There's definitely some that popped off. The power outage going out the other day, I thought that was going to keep us down for a very long time.
I thought that was going to be like a 4 or 5 hour
I thought we were
thing.
fucked. That was yesterday, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. It was like 20 minutes.
Yeah, well, I think by it was closer to an hour by the end of it. But the power came back on. Yeah, but the power came back on pretty quick. It just took them a while to get everything online. And they did have generators because I actually jumped on No Majors Club with Richard, and Henry was there and Lauren was there. That's
kind of BM of you.
What do you mean?
Going to the No Majors Club while being at the major.
No, but the game wasn't live. I was giving them a report from the window of the 5-star hotel. I was just saying, nothing's wrong here. I was just
live from Rio.
Exactly, memeing a bit.
Chad SPUNJ birthday.
But it came back up pretty quick, and Richard was still in the Go TV the entire time, and the players were still typing to each other the entire time.
I thought that was cool when I found out that they have the match servers and the player computers are all on a generator to be able to match medic those situations.
Yeah.
I didn't know that at all.
That's great.
Yeah, it's sick.
That was
as if Mikkel Slovinsky is on top of his shit no matter what. Who would have thought?
Yeah. He knows what he's doing.
Yeah, the contingency's there. Who would have thunk it? But that was our biggest issue, really. The other ones, in terms of tech issues, were minor things or maybe like anomalies that cropped up. So as far as the smoothness of the legend stage went, it was much smoother. And they've definitely resolved the issue that was plaguing Fiku and Shiro, right? Those two standout things. So that's a positive in itself right there. And I'm really quite content with how things have been going, right? Like I can't watch the broadcast at all times because I'm casting. I can't watch over both streams. I haven't been able to watch all the games. I'm doing my best to rewatch. But from what I've been able to consume and what I've seen, and this fucking music video with Harry today, holy shit.
It's lit.
I'm fucking loving it. That music video, man. Like, we know Harry. He likes to release some funny songs on his fucking Twitter, like, and he's got some frag highlights to the back. But Harry's a guy like who, he obviously likes that side of things, like coming up with raps or coming up with songs or whatever, and then getting the opportunity. I think it was ESO who hooked him up with what is it, MAKK?
I don't know his name, but there's like a Brazilian rapper that's there as well.
Getting that opportunity and then giving them a music video that.
It's very well put together.
Gianni, that's Gianni. So Gianni,
shout out to him and the OAP team.
He did the skit as well that we did.
Yeah.
So Gianni, just for everybody, I love getting credit to these people because they're actually my friends. Gianni, he's a Latvian. I don't know why that's important, but what is important is he used to be a professional Rainbow Six player. And now he's turned like an editor for ESO.
Cool.
Right? So he does some great stuff. So
and he gets the whole esports culture as well.
Exactly.
He makes us look good.
Yeah. So,
he does make us look good.
Shout out to Gianni. And actually, shout out to everybody, right? Because there's a whole bunch of people who help Alex with the trailers and everything. I fucking love these people, man. They all care about the game.
Every time, I did some of those voiceovers as well, and every time I see like what they put together around it, because when you record voiceovers, you feel like such a fucking asshole, don't you?
You never know how to inflect your voice or anything.
And I'm just like, this is gonna suck. And you see the finished product, and I'm just like, these editors work magic.
Yeah.
They work fucking magic.
Make us look all right. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You could put anybody on the camera at that point. Actually, no, don't do that. We need our jobs. But yeah, and that music video, if people haven't seen it, maybe we can link it or whatever. Harry's actually going to convert this to MP4 format so we can put it on YouTube.
This in our last 2 episodes. So we'll be throwing those up on YouTube as well.
And if you don't see them on YouTube, blame Harry.
Yeah. But I recommend checking out that song. But here's the thing, right? We're going into... What should we talk about? I don't know. Where should we pivot from here? Like, we have everything to talk about.
Yeah, the Legends
Let's talk
stage.
about some teams that were... Do you want to talk about some teams who were eliminated first? Because we're going to talk about the
Oh,
champions.
shit,
stage.
yeah. But this, like, it happened very quickly. So the phase 03, right? Fucking hell.
Yeah, I guess we have to start there.
Okay, Yanka, what do you think? Because here's the deal. I know
it's
that...
coming.
I'm curious on everybody's opinion on this. I know what mine is. Vertigo. What is your opinion about playing Vertigo against Bad News Eagles? Not about Vertigo as a whole, against Bad News Eagles.
I hated it, personally, because it's an O2 game, which is it's not that it's an O2 game. It's like you're playing Bad News Eagles. It's like, why are you... I mean, I don't say they're afraid, but why not just play them on Ancient?
Yeah.
What's the
especially
worst
with
thing
sort
that
of
can,
Na'Vi did.
what's the worst thing that can happen? You can lose, right? Like the map in some sort of a fashion. But I always felt like with my players, right? Like I felt like I had very good players individually, and I want to. And even if we are sometimes struggling on a map, like especially in a high pressure game, especially at majors, they can win games. Like with a couple of good rounds, a couple of good moves. And I would much rather play a map that they feel good on than try to be like super 4D, play 4D chess and like mind game like the opponent and pick a map that I think is really weak for them and then come up with this like super game
they
plan.
They had some good strats, but
right?
that was it.
So that's the thing. Like just for me, naturally, and I don't know how phase functions like that. Those like inner dynamics. Are the players okay with that? Are the players maybe not okay with that, but they just get along with it because you kind of have to put up a brave face, right? It just feels unnecessary. But people are also taking it too far. Because go back to Pro League finals that they won. What did they do against Sense? Yeah. They vetoed Nuke, which became later their best map, and they left Vertigo in and picked it, and they beat them on it. So I don't know if that was, but it's different because it was a final that was a best of, it was a best of 5, right? So you have an extra map to play with. And it was
map number 1.
Yeah, and it was map number 1. So I didn't like it in this particular scenario. Could they have still won the map?
Yes.
Yes. Could they have still won the series even with that loss? Yes. Could they have also won 2-0 if the map was Ancient? We will never know. They definitely that possibility definitely exists, but what would have happened? We can't know.
Didn't they lose like a 13-5 lead on one of the maps in that series as well? They lost
a big lead on
Mirage or something
crazy
like
big.
Yeah.
I think it was 14-9 at one
15-11.
point. Yeah,
on Mirage or 15-10 even.
They should have closed Mirage. There was a couple of interesting financial decisions there late where they could have full ball or they could have done something that resembled a full buy, but they went for like a partial, which I thought was like not classical for phase, right? Like I thought they may as well just go for the knockout blow. So they were definitely under the pump. They were feeling it. And it was just rough to watch.
I have the Vertigo thing for me. I mean, I thought this situation was a bit aggressive to do it in, considering it was an elimination series. That's a big risk, but I also love it, and I find it hard to like criticize it too heavily because Kerrigan's always messed with map pools like this. Kerrigan's been one of the few in-game leaders who's been able to do it, which we've always kind of enjoyed about him. But here's the other side too. Give credit over. I think there's almost like a. I don't want to say give credit to him, but like, Navi's been teasing the fact that they've been practicing Vertigo, right?
Yeah.
So I think the idea behind it for FaZe was they're saying, we want to show Navi that we can play this map. We want to show Navi that we're willing to play Vertigo and that we're actually good on it. So if it comes down to that, if they want to do some fucking in the veto, like we're ready for it.
Just not with tournament life on the line.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's the only thing that matters. Yeah. It's like I love Kerrigan, I respect him a lot. Everything he does, like even that sort of mind game level, I think he's great at it. But I think in this one, he was just trying to be too smart.
They were too far ahead of themselves. They were looking ahead to playing Navi.
He was being too smart for his own good, and it came back to bite them in the ass. And we'll see what the consequences of that will be further down the line, right? Like it sucks to not have FaZe because it did feel, FaZe is out in 2 days, right? And day one is 2 best of 1. So I don't even care about the seeding as much. It's just a tough situation where you can be in such a bad situation for just 1 day. Like even, in a best of 3, you could have an off day and lose a close series, right? It's not the same, but you get where I'm going with this. I feel like FaZe would have, if they didn't lose that game, it would have been like Navi. Look at Navi, right? Like Simple Electronic came, like they were so 100%. And so, like, and then in the Bad News Eagles game at 1-2, They blow them out of the water. They play great. They take care of business yesterday against Big. They played just enough to beat them, really, in a way. But you feel like, okay, they made it to the stage. They made it to the arena. That's all that matters. Like, I felt always as a coach of FaZe, my job is to get them into the arena.
Yeah.
In the arena, the team is 50% better, and a lot of other teams are going to be slightly worse, and it's going to be much easier to play those games, right? So,
yeah, look, it didn't hit the mark. It's disappointing to have them eliminated here, but I think that the storyline coming into the event was that, look, there are favorites, but there's an opportunity for anything to happen, right?
Yeah.
And look, in terms of like which names they were going to be and that level of conversation, it's harder to pin down. We still obviously have Na'Vi here. We still have Cloud9 here. We didn't get Liquid. We didn't get Vitality. We didn't get FaZe. Those were the other three names who were in the mix towards the top, right?
Vitality looked bad.
Yeah, but the thing is, they looked bad, but they looked good against FaZe.
All right.
They bodied FaZe on Inferno.
Here's a question for you guys.
Yeah.
ZywOo had below 1 rating in that last best of 3.
Okay.
Would you imagine Simple having a game like that with the you know,
with
they
so
lost
much on
to
the
Ants.
line?
Tournament life on the line. Well, you mentioned the Bad News Eagles where they blew them out. I think Simple was like 1.3 something.
He had like
It was crazy.
1.7 something rating, you know,
Oh,
whatever.
okay.
My point is, you know, do you think like how they phrase this? I don't want to say do you think he needs to be doing more, because you would say obviously yes, but you know, is this like sort of becoming, you know, a problem for ZywOo that sometimes he needs to, like, you know, like you can't have a game like that at that point
ZywOo
in
could
time,
not have
you
an
know?
off game. ZywOo could not have an off game.
Yeah.
Right?
For that
But
team.
Look, here's the deal. When Alex was there and they all took offense to the fact that it was, we're flashing for ZywOo, right? We all made this possible, right? I roll my eyes. But at least, right, we could see in the gameplay, they were setting ZywOo up, and he delivered. He was the hard carry. He had 4 individuals, statistically speaking, in his backpack. Now, the minutiae of the Counter-Strike in terms of were they setting him up or not, right? We can have that conversation till the cows come home, and people will always be out in the jury. But this new team is not built for ZywOo to shine. It's not built around ZywOo. It isn't at all. It's meant to have other parts function. So for ZywOo not to show up, yeah, that's bad, but he's not given all the resources in this team to own. So if the team is like, if Apex is dying opening every round, you got to give ZywOo the same space as a Simple. Allow him to at least get into rounds.
Yeah, but I before that game, this is what I was talking about on desk. I was like, this feels like a good game. This feels like a good opportunity for ZywOo to have a great game and kind of potentially have like a, you know, so far in his young career defining event where he could maybe take Vitality all the way, right?
Yeah.
Like his performances can be the difference
like a 2018
maker
Simple
in some of these close series, right? Where he can have like an amazing tournament, and that could be what wins Vitality the tournament. Instead, he goes missing and they bomb out to Ants, right? Like, you know, Ants is not a bad team, but they're not a great team either. Like, they're in the process of getting better because of changing styles on T side. Luckily for Nuke is such a map where they don't have to change their style too much, because calling from spawn and just having these set things is actually a good thing on Nuke most of the time, right? Like, you have to throw those like yard smokes and do something around them. It's not as much defaulting. Like, those smokes are maybe part of it. It's counted as a default.
It was weird seeing Sunpius as the best opera in the server that day, though.
He fucking put ZywOo in his pocket. Not like just one, not head-to-head duels, but if you don't know the names and you watch the game and you're saying, wow, this is ZywOo. Like, these sorts of plays, like the being everywhere on different places on the map, CT side, you know, plays in rounds where they needed them, where they were maybe had a saved op M4 and a couple of pistols, right? Like, mid-round, like a couple of moves that either got information or got them kills. So, yeah, he completely outclassed. He was like 60-31, I think, in that series.
Wow.
Something like that. Like, he was way, way, way better than ZywOo.
I think it's the one, like, it's like the broad strokes kind of angle with ZywOo that I think people have touched on over the years, where he just doesn't seem to have that same, like, killer instinct. Like, the question you ask, could you ever imagine Simple having a game like this, an elimination game like this week? And for whatever reason, it feels like ZywOo just doesn't have it in him, or doesn't want to, or doesn't have that desire to, like, take over games in that fashion. And yeah, the team doesn't set him up as much, but still, like, you as that opper should be demanding it.
Here's another question for you guys. Did you feel up until the Bad News Eagles game that Simple was kind of not really himself?
Yeah.
All right, I felt the same thing. So I looked
the big game yesterday scared me.
So I looked it up. We had that as a graphic. Him and Electronic in the Bad News Eagles game and the first 3 best of ones. Do you know what his rating was in the 3 best of ones? 119.
Okay.
Which
for most
is-
players, that's a fantastic rating.
For most players,
that's a quiet one for example.
And we're considering that, you guys didn't know. So like just the eye test is telling you you're used to maybe seeing a little bit more. So that just tells you how high of a standard he has set sort of for himself or for us when we talk about them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, so for him to have, a 1 or below 1 to be in the red, that's like 1 in, I don't know,
a million,
50 maps, 100 maps, sort of a thing, right? So that's why it's always weird. Like, we understand that about Simple, but I was like best player 2 years in a row, like
True.
during like I think kind of weird circumstances or whatever. But it feels like there's a big gap between them, and I don't know if that gap is only now and the last year, like that the gap has widened or deepened or however you say it, right? Or was it always like that? But the results were a little bit skewed because Simple was in a worse team, so he wasn't winning as much.
Well, I think it's multi-pronged. I think it's multi-pronged here. But this is where, for me, it's not so Simple. If he goes deep in this major, nets up the #1 player in the world for the year. Even if Zywoo has a good tail end, I think they'll weight the major more, right? Obviously, with the HLTV rankings. So Simple can guarantee himself #1 player in the world here if they get to the final, and he plays beast mode in these playoffs, right? But regardless of that little accolade and that trophy, this is where I think Zywoo needs to grow the ego now.
Yeah.
It's not too early. It's not too late. It feels like the perfect time. We've seen you. You've already shown the potential. You're a monster. You're nicknamed the game, the chosen one, whatever you want to call him. He's a great player. He is a great player. At this point, he needs to start demanding more from what's around him. And whether that means that he needs to sit Apex down and say, listen, motherfucker, we need to do it like this, or they need to get somebody who is going to set him up. The thing is, the system of a team or the approach of a team or any way that you want to, if you have a player like Zywoo, you will use the tip of the spear to win yourself games. You are not going to sit here and look, he needs to be propped up. Like, and that's not a bad way. Like, I remember I had a chat with MSL in a fucking shuttle after a Star Ladder event. And he was like, MSL was talking about the fact that Simple gets dropped all the guns. If I had Simple in my team, I would drop him all the guns as well.
I'll fucking take my pants down and like give him a new pair of underwear if he needs it.
Whatever he needs, he can
I'm
have
glad you
it.
went that direction.
I don't know.
No, but that's fair enough. If you're offering your underwear up, but look,
I had no idea.
It's been a day. It's been a day.
but Zywoo's the same. Give Zywoo whatever he needs to be the best player in the world.
Here's one to transition away from Vitality into a team that's actually been good this tournament. I think the reason why this team has been good is because this player is doing some of the things that you're asking for, and I'm talking about Cloud9 and I'm talking about Shiro.
Yeah.
Because you can tell, and we asked him this. I love Haku, the fact that we get to do some post-game interviews with players, and she's there to translate.
Yeah.
With guys like Shiro, guys like James as well. But we asked him about. You feel to be like you're more aggressive, you're having better tournament. Like, is that purposeful? What's going on? He's like, I felt like the team was struggling a little bit and that I had to do more.
Yes.
Otherwise, we're maybe not going to make it, right? So he started just being a little bit more aggressive, taking more initiative. I'm like, yes, like you have to do that. If you guys go back to the Dallas series against FaZe, that's Cloud9 playing like with more balls, like not just playing the percentages every single time, like taking some of those, 50-50 fights or even 40-60 fights, right? Playing with confidence and winning the duels and winning the fights and winning the game. So I'm hoping that he understands that that's something you need to do. And also someone like Shiro that still people probably don't know is a guy that does by far the most talking on that team. Like Nafani is the main caller.
Timeouts, Shiro's very
vocal in timeouts, mid-rounds, like, he's very, very involved in the calling, like Hobbit as well, at a good extent. But, this guy, I feel like he's the kind of main focal point of that team. And if they're going to do something, I still have them going out in the semis. We'll get to that in the pick'ems. But, like, I feel like people point Exile, and yes, mechanically and everything, but Shiro is the guy. Like, he needs to lead the way, and then Exile will follow.
Well, to transition that off that point, because I think that's a good one with Shiro saying the team's struggling, I need to step up. We saw that earlier in the year, just a couple events ago at ESO Pro League with Yakinder and Liquid, and Yakinder said the very same thing. Yeah. He said very much, we were rusty coming into this. We were, everyone went home for a week or two, and we didn't quite have the same touch against European competition, so I had to be way more aggressive. I had to be way more assertive, but the whole point is bringing up Liquid, another disappointing exit.
Yeah.
That was a team that, I think probably ruined a lot of people's pick'ems.
Yes.
Yeah, going into it. And I know I had them getting to the playoffs. I had them as a top 8 team.
I thought they'd be there.
Yeah, and especially when you see teams like FaZe go out, like you're just like, this should be an opportunity for a deep run for Liquid.
Yeah, for sure. I think that it's interesting the point that Yanko's just made, and maybe we can expand this conversation here for a moment, because in-game leaders, traditionally, not on all teams, right? This is almost team specific, are the ones making the call out of spawn, right? We're playing heavy here on the CT side. We're going for this round on the T side. We're doing this. However, Yanko, as you've just highlighted here, you've mentioned that individuals like Shiro talk a lot in the mid-round. And it obviously depends on the player and the position that they play and even the ability to be able to play in the mid-round. But are the individuals who take over in the mid-round for teams more important than the in-game leader in modern Counter-Strike? Because if you have, I would say, the nucleus of Hobbit and Shiro, they probably talk a lot in the mid-round as opposed to Nafany, because he goes in and he dies, he gets the space. If it works, they win. If they don't, other individuals need to take over. So the dialogue there, a mid-round call is more important than the in-game leader's spawn calling.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think you can tell that from Navi 2021 with Boomich as the in-game leader. And then, Simple and Electronic doing a lot of the mid-round. Here's the thing, right? Your star player, he's obviously...
They're the quarterback.
He's obviously that good because not only mechanically he's good, he understands the game on a high level. So he'll have a lot of good ideas. They also solve the puzzle faster during the round, right? Like with the imperfect information, they kind of get a better read, faster read on what your opponents are doing. Yeah. So, but to add to them the burden of having to, at the start of every round, just call something and think constantly about what's been going out in every round and the money and what has the opponents been doing, what did we learn from our prep and so on. That becomes maybe sometimes a little bit too overwhelming, and then they can't perform at the same level individually, and then your team is losing out on that and so on, which is why someone like Nico, ideally at the time, he shouldn't have been our in-game leader, but the secondary guy.
Sure.
But that's why we got called when he was doing it, because can be that guy, right, and help him out and relieve some of that. And I used to say, you always need to have two guys. You're past the time where it can just be one guy. I think we're coming into a time where you have to have three guys.
Okay.
At least, right? In a sense of not necessarily making calls, not necessarily, it depends on who your in-game leader is. If it's someone like Carrigan, then two is enough. If it's someone like Nafany, then probably three. And also, because we see the teams, the meta has shifted. Like a lot of teams are playing, understanding that they just need to be able to adapt during a round, right? Mm-hmm. And the players need to be able to make individual decisions and take initiative and take space where space is given to them, because these teams are so good right now that they're deliberately leaving space and taking other space and saving nades, and they know exactly how they want to rotate. And here's the thing, people always talk about if you play fast and rush and you're aggressive, like it's a bit reckless. Listen, there's as much risk, like it's risky. There's as much risk in playing passive as there is in playing aggressive. Sure. If you're too passive and you don't take the space that's given to you, you're going to run out into a wall in the end of the round with a lot of nades being saved and being out-rotated.
Saw a lot of that too passive coming out of Big for me this tournament when I called them. They were one of those teams that went super, super passive, especially on the CT side, and just never had information.
Yeah, isolated.
Yeah, never had any idea what was coming, and the first contact they're having is when players are already walking into the bomb site.
And it's GG.
I think to go back to that point, I don't know, I think, three players is good, but I think the designation of like secondary callers, because there's so many micro plays going on right now where players are taking space on the other side of the map based off information that's being given to them. And as they're making those plays, you're kind of forming an image in your head of what's happening. And it's like, okay, this is the play I'm going to make. And if this play works, this is where I need my team to be. So you don't necessarily need guys who are like secondary callers or third callers. You need players who can have that image in their head and dictate to their team what they want about it. Yeah. Like saying, I'm going to make this play. And if I get this kill, I need you guys to like rotate over behind me, like start shifting behind me. And it's not so much, I think the idea of them like being this hardcore like caller is, if that's the image a viewer has of it, is too much. But
that's knowing the system, right? What we're talking about here.
And that was something that Outsiders even said, is they have like four people who understand like the system that they're playing. So like they're feeling very comfortable in the server.
Here's the thing, what you want to achieve, like the game has evolved a lot. So you want everyone, what you say when everyone want to be on the same page. It's like, it's not about the call.
Yeah.
Like, I want to give you guys a basic example, right? And this is something that Virtus Pro used to do a lot a year or two ago.
Which Virtus Pro? The Polish one? Or
no.
The Jane one.
The Jane one, the Kinder one, right? Like, what they would do, and it's simple, Dust 2, right? And they're taking cat. If they see the op is mid,
they'll go away.
They're just run out cat. Like, just the most basic of executes, right? And they'll just do that. So it's not even about making the call, it's understanding this is our philosophy about this situation, we can just speed up, and the timing matters. Like, obviously you don't want to give the opera time to go back, but also just group up as fast as possible. Go, the guy who's outside long understands what they're doing. He's picking his timing, right? So it's more about whatever. It's like, let's say Fame says on Inferno, I heard the op zoom, and then everyone, then for example, let's say their reaction is, if we know the opera is on B, we're gonna go, we're gonna split A with 3 guys long, 1 short, 1 apps, right? So it's more like them moving. Like, as soon as he says that, like, you kind of start moving and doing it in like the timing of these calls. So it's more about, you sit down and you say, when these things happen, this is how we think is the best to react. And if you can get that down, then it's much easier. Or like Mirage, you're doing default, you're seeing they're giving you mid. So the guy going underpass and the guy going top mid, you know, like that you should be more aggressive.
Faster on your timing.
Faster on your timings, like faster top con smoke, faster window smoke. So you put pressure on the CTs. When that gets smoked, they need to use counter util. They need to throw a deep molly con. They need to use a smoke for amp. They're gonna push somewhere, and then you have Jame sitting and fucking holding the angle in apps and waiting for the push apps and the guy in ramp. And you can't blame the people. You can't blame the CTs. You've lost mid. You push the sides. Like, it's normal. But they're a step ahead, and they know. And the players at that time are focused. It's also like a time. Anyone who plays CS knows sometimes your focus goes down on your crosshair, depending on what's going down. But you understand the timing, so that's when you're just like zoned in on your crosshair. You don't listen to your teammates. You don't look at the radar. And you get the kills, right? So it's that's your ultimate aim. Because if you don't have that, you can have,
you're fucked.
Whoever is the in-game leader and can tell you what to do. If you don't understand it as an individual, the situation, right, and what it is that you're trying to do as a team, it's going to be harder to succeed.
I have a first-hand example of exactly this. Now, I don't remember the team we were playing, but I remember the situation. And it was Dust 2. This was back when I was playing. And my long defenders, they were getting smoked at long every time. And the reason they were getting smoked at long is because they'd let them leak to blue bin. And this is before the meta was to throw doors molly and blue bin molly, right? It's before that was in the meta. And I was like, they just kept losing long. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? And as an in-game leader, I came over in the round. This was during a competitive matchup. And I came over and I saw what the issue was. And I was like, so if we just molly off here and nade off here, then that guy has to pick and then we kill him. And then we killed him. And then we took long. But instead of me understanding that at the time of the in-game leader, it was like, why do you guys not see this? Of course, not everybody sees the game at the same level and at the same time. It just doesn't function like that, right?
That's why we have very good players and good players.
Exactly. So then when I noted that, but the issue was at that point, that was when the penny dropped for me about theory in Counter-Strike, right? And that's when all of that stuff that Fallen and Co have been talking about went, well, this is 2015, 2016. That's when I went, oh, shit. Like, me as the in-game leader, I'm not as mechanically sharp as an Azza or a JKS or this or that, but I can aid them in putting themselves in better positions if I give them a better understanding of what I know. And because I know it, these are my teammates. I should help them know it as well. And that was something that, to the point, look, it seems fucking daft, but that's not how Counter-Strike was back in the day.
Well, it wasn't. And, you know, a lot of times, like, people are arrogant when they're like that, oh, I'm smarter than you. How can you not see what I'm seeing? But luckily, we evolved past that, and that's how it should be. You want, like, it's not about telling someone, you know, even as a coach, I never wanted to, like, tell my guys, hey, just do this.
Yeah.
I always wanted to explain it to them.
Why.
Right? Why do I want this to be done? Because I thought it made sense. And sometimes, you know, players would say, yeah, but let's change just this little thing because, you know, whatever. And then they would be right. You know, it's a micro thing or whatever. But you want people to understand because then they understand what we're trying to do. Right? And if you understand that, and what your teammates are doing on the other side, or what we want to make the opponents do, or what we're like kind of baiting them to do, then they feel a lot more comfortable, like, because they can kind of see all the steps. If I just tell them, let's do this strat, they'll do it. But if they're not sure why, they won't believe in it, and it won't be executed well.
This is profound, and I'm curious here. Well, I actually want to go on a bit of a tangent here because I don't want to take us away from Counter-Strike for too long, but I want to kind of discuss a little bit of, like, me as a teenager and stuff, right? And this, but it leads into what you're saying here. I had big issues in understanding the why in life, right? I understood that we had to go to school because they were trying to fill us with enough resources to then go and exist in the world. I understood that.
Fit in the system. Become part of the process, part of the machine.
But I never understood why, why it had to be done their way. Right? Like I never got that. I never, and to be honest, it didn't actually have to be done their way, because the three of us right here are testament to that not being the case. And so is all these players and everyone else who gets to be involved in Counter-Strike at different levels who, we don't have a degree in Counter-Strike, we just have a love. And I used to get into a lot of arguments and fights with my dad over playing too much Counter-Strike, right? It was consistent. And
I think we all probably did.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah, and my dad's a bit of a hothead. He's definitely mellowed out a lot in his life, and especially when I was an apprentice with him as a plumber, we mended our relationship significantly, and I've been able to talk to him more like a human than I ever had before. But as a 16, 17-year-old kid, when he was trying to just express care for me by wanting me to study and spend time at school, he wanted a better life for me than what he had. He didn't want me to be a tradesman. He wanted me to go to university and get a degree and do all those things. But his way of conveying that to me didn't exist, right? He wasn't a strong communicator. It's not something that existed for him. And what we're talking about right now is the same thing, because I would be in yelling matches with my dad, and my dad's a bigger man than I. Like compared to me, like actually he's lost some weight now. I don't mean he's fat, but he was a big, broad plumber, like a burly, fucking barrel-chested. He would fucking rock your socks, right? And I would be yelling and arguing with him and fighting, and we just never see eye to eye. And the thing was, he was like, you have to do this, you need to do this, you need to do this. And my question for him would always be why? And the communication of the why, right? This is why he cares, or this is why it never came through. So I never understood until I became older. And that's the exact same thing we're talking about now. Obviously not on such a fucking amplified level of father and son, but that's the case, is like... Yeah. A lot of people learn best or understand best when they understand the reason. The rationale for things is very key.
And to be honest, also it's how things should be done, because if you're not giving someone a reason, right? Yeah. Like you need to have a reason for why you want something done in a certain way. So if you have that, why not just relay it to the person you're talking to?
If my dad said, I love you and I want you to be the best version of yourself and go on to be a successful human being and not have to be going through the same bullshit as I did in life, it would be hard for me to understand as a 16 or 17-year-old, but at least I'd get where he's coming from. And I didn't. I just thought he was just like, he didn't like video games.
And before we get really back into Counter-Strike, I'll tell you something else. It's like, that's the kids, right? It's always the kids. Kids always ask you, why this, oh, we're going here now, why? Like they always have, and it's sometimes annoying to parents, I guess most of the time, but I feel like it's really important. And I think as we grow older, we lose that sort of curiosity and that sort of like, because you get
questioning the world.
Exactly,
ways,
because you kind of understand, oh, this is just how the world works, and you get used to a lot of things. Like, for example, this is not helping me too much in my career, but I do that still a lot of times, like, because people just sometimes expect, because they told you to do something, that you just do it. And I'm like, but why? Why do I need to do this way? And they just say, well, this is, but explain it to me, because it doesn't make any sense to me, right? And it's just like, if you can explain it to me, I'll do it. If you cannot, like, at least I'll probably still do it if you're talking about work-related stuff. But I don't even know if it's work-related or like, fucking traveling through an airport or this, or like some like just generic, like boring, mundane things of everyday life, right? So I'll probably still do it in the end, even if you can't. But I want you to acknowledge that it's stupid. What you're asking of me, that it doesn't make sense, right? I want you to acknowledge that, or explain it to me in a way that it starts making sense, and then we're fine. Because
just tell me you're stupid, and then I'll do it.
It's ridiculous. It's like, I don't know. It was something I also was like taking down laundry. I was going to breakfast and I take down laundry to leave at the reception, and they're like, they have this thing here, you can just call them, they come pick it up from the laundry services, and they're like, I come down, they're like, oh, you should have like just called the thing and someone would come pick it up. Yeah, I'm like, yeah, but I was on my way down, I just left it. Is that a problem? Well, next time just do it. I'm like, but
why?
Isn't this easier? Yeah. Can't they come here as well as going to my room? Like, is it like, what's the, whatever. It's like I don't know why.
No, it's like if we go to the airport early, right? It's like, oh, you need to leave for the airport 3.5 hours early. And if we're not from a place, the question is why? And then they go, oh, traffic here around this time, it gets really bad. And you go, okay, that's fair enough. I don't want to be late to the airport, right? Like, it's obviously, that's a very light example. But
can we just edit out this last 2 minutes when I was giving these examples and focus on this? Shuttle time, call time, right?
Yeah.
Like,
I was going to say.
Call time, it's like... I've spent multiple days at this event, coming to the venue and not doing a single thing for 3 hours, or one time it was 4 hours. And listen, this is the major, and like I know how much ESL this means to them, how much they put. I didn't say anything to anyone. I just come in like, you know, I'm not gonna bitch about that until the podcast.
Yeah,
but
save it.
no, but it's like, you know, and then just eventually I was like, can we move this shuttle time an hour, push it back? And you know, the talent manager was like, fine. And I came and like, you know, it was all fine,
problems,
right? Like I didn't want to cause any fuss, but it's like, but why is our call time like, you know, it takes, even if I don't know what happens, at most like 40 minutes to get to the venue. So even if that happens, I'm still there by the earliest possible time. I'm still there an hour early. To just get makeup, which takes 3 minutes, and get changed, which takes 2 minutes.
And then you get to sit in the
and that's
environment
it,
with all
right?
the drums
And
the
you know,
horns.
it's like important to
No
get
relaxing.
again. That's the problem was like at this particular venue, the noise is constant. So it's like, you know, you're sitting 2 hours and hearing
whistles, drums,
like,
chant.
So yeah, I guess this took too long. Let's go back.
But
to
Jason
concert.
and I, we don't have to do makeup or get dressed.
Yeah, it's great.
Look,
I love it. Well, except when I bring my jackets and leave them in the
Oh dear.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Moving
Not
swiftly
ideal.
on.
No, look, Adela's camera got picked up as far as we believe.
I thought about messaging her last night and being like, if it makes you feel any better, my jackets got taken. By
And
someone.
yours is so. Your stuff is like it's just a jacket. I don't know why they disappeared. It's so ridiculous.
It's a cool one though.
It was
They're
two
both
cool
cool.
ones.
They're
There
both
was,
cool,
it was the
dude.
simple dropping logo bomber jacket, which there were only like 500, I think, maybe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so that's gone.
So I know someone, right? Maybe we can see.
I
if-
found it on the ground.
No. But I know some. Maybe we can see if we can get like another rundown or something for you.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Because I put mine in the dryer and it peeled off all the simple thing on the back.
Oh yeah, because we need a couple new ones. Yeah.
So maybe, but the CAC one that you
three-
had that
three
Blair
ones.
has.
You can apparently find those online. Is
Oh,
what I've been
really?
told. So I'm gonna go search it down and see if I can get
That's
another
such
one.
a-
But
it's
that
so-
one is so sweet.
But I know the feeling you had because this morning I thought that I had lost my in-ears in the back of a shuttle, and my immediate heart dropped. Not in the sense like it. Look, and people go, "What a flex?" It's not a flex. It's just fucking money, right? Like, if I had to go rebuy a pair of in-ears because of my own fucking idiocy of losing them in the back of the shuttle, then fine, that's on me. And when things happen like that, you kind of like you feel, man, this sucks that someone would take it if I did lose it. Like we like to live in a society where you know you'd feel like people would turn it in.
Hey, I found this.
Yeah.
Maybe
but
someone
that
dropped
doesn't
it off.
happen. That doesn't happen,
But,
right?
but I get you as well. It's like I can spend, you know, some money on like ridiculous shit and it doesn't matter. But if I spend like $50 and I feel like I wasted them, it fucking bugs me.
Yeah.
Like I hate it.
And these
you know,
are
so it's
new
not
in-ears,
about
man.
like the money, just about like, you know, feeling like I just bought these. It's like I'm throwing money down the bin.
We've kind of gone on a weird tangent.
We
here.
have gone on an
but I would like to explore this more, and I would like to know from both of you. Let's start with you here, Jason. I want to
Cool.
explain what I'm doing. So hopefully, if everything goes to plan, I'm going to have a couple of pieces of merchandise with
Beautiful.
with ESL. Or done by ESL. I don't have to do anything here. But I want to create a couple of pieces, I don't know, 4 or 5, like just shirts or whatever, that we know what it means, right? It's Counter-Strike related, but it's not mega geeky. I don't want a fucking gun. I don't want this, that, the other.
Yeah, the scope, yeah.
One of the things I want, like I'm the type of guy who wear a plain t-shirt, you know, you just put a fucking thing here on the chest and
Yeah,
maybe
little
a
pocket.
print on the back or whatever, and that's fine for me, right? I'm down for plain stuff. But one of the things I want to do is get the pop dog from 1.6.
Sure.
And do you have anything that you would think that would be cool? Because I have some other ideas too. Like I have some other cool ones that I think I want to run with. But I don't want to steal your information. Maybe we can do a Jason special as well.
Yeah, we'll get one for everyone. What do you want, the actual Pop Dog train or just like the logo?
No,
of
the
Pop
logo,
Dog?
the logo,
Okay.
yeah.
That's on the train.
Because we know what that means. We've
Yeah.
all seen that before.
Yeah.
But most people haven't, right?
Ooh, that's a good one. I have to think back to 1.6.
Because to be honest, most
All
like
graffiti.
but most like merch around that is way too on the nose or too busy or too over the top or whatever, right? Like I know Launders does good stuff. It's not all Counter-Strike related. I like Launders shit. I haven't bought any. I thought he'd give
How
me
about some of
free
his
stuff.
recent drops? Supposed to come in like March or something like that?
I don't know, man. Getting stuff shipped to Malta, I don't think it's ever gonna.
I like
arrive,
seeing. I know like Alex was doing some merch. I like buying like merch. I like buying like esports merch that people make because it's like I want you to reinvest in
Sure,
the
yeah,
industry. You know,
yeah.
I really actually enjoy. I don't mind spending my money on like Launders' gear. I bought a bunch of things, and I know like when Liquid, before I even coached them, whenever they came out with the drop, I really liked it. I bought that because I want
Yeah.
them. I know like I bought the Logitech chair that they did with Herman Miller
Yeah.
because I want Herman
Is
Miller.
it a good chair?
Yeah,
It's
it's,
a great
great.
chair.
It's a Herman Miller chair. It's
I gotta get me one
It
of
just
those.
has
I
a
have
Logitech
the-
logo on it.
I have
They
the
just came
actual
out with
Herman Miller
a
chair.
new version as well.
Okay.
And Herman Miller is from my hometown, so I'm trying to like also snake it.
Shout out to the guy from Liquid who contacted me several times to try and send me free stuff, but I'm just too much of a fucking idiot to reply with the size and an address. So shout out to that guy. I think he's Australian as well. So shout out to him. Yank, you got anything off the top of your dome? Do you want me to make anything particular for you?
I was thinking potentially, but that's all too related to CS:GO or whatever. Like the logos of the maps or something.
Oh, I don't want to get. Look, I have some to do with that. I have some cool stuff that we will get. I don't want to give it away because I don't want other people to fucking do it before I make it.
Yeah.
But you like it. I'll tell you off air.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't really my brain is not working good enough creatively to think of something on the spot.
Fair enough.
I'm not a creative person.
We're about 2 beers deep, and then we're about to punch this TV. You and I in tandem. So
nice and hard.
Yeah.
Knock it off the wall, baby. Let's get back to the CS really quick because we haven't touched on the champion stage
Oh,
yet.
there's so many teams we haven't touched on. Remember, Dexter, I love you.
Let's come back to a
I
couple.
was gonna say that it's a feel good moment for you.
A couple
I said
teams
Dexter,
that were
not Dexter.
eliminated.
I'm trying to mend this bridge, bro. I don't want to message the guy and be like, "Hey, man, I'm sorry that I offended you by telling the truth." Anyway, let's say to the eliminated teams.
NIP, shortest honeymoon ever.
Anyway, moving on.
Okay.
What do you want to say about them?
They lost to Fnatic, then Outsiders.
Which is a hard game.
So 2 playoff teams, and then the third game 0-2 was against Sprout.
Well, it's just an
Yikes.
interesting timeline for NIP because I think those changes were like universally criticized, and then they came into the RMR. They just
Their changes have been criticized for 2 years.
True.
Since Device joined and then decided he didn't want to play anymore.
And then they blitzed through the RMR 3-0, no issues whatsoever. The road to Rio.
True.
And then they came here and just got dumpstered.
What about this? What is the best roster change other than Device, since Device, that the team has made since? And I think we might all agree once we all realize what it is. I know what I would say. Do you want me to say it?
Since Device came into the team?
Since Device benched himself.
Okay. I have to go way
Brolin.
back. Yeah, that's got it. Well, yeah.
Yeah. But
Although Brolin
Ivan
hasn't
Brolin.
exactly lived up to the potential.
yeah,
that
but
he
this
has
is the thing. This is the problem I have. I like all the guys on NRP from top to bottom, right? The only person who has ever made me upset over there is Gunderson.
Yeah.
Right? That fucking clown. And he's around here at the hotel. Doesn't even look at me. Look, everybody else at NIP, from the organizational, they spoke to me in the Stockholm major, maybe it was, and they were so offended by all that shit that popped off. Remember when he made that tweet about diversity and shit, and he wasn't clear on it? It was all about he was obviously talking about women involved,
So tired of
which
this
we all,
shit.
yeah, I know, but he basically ruined the first experience for people like Blair and everybody. Anyway, we've been
White,
this before.
Golden White, of course.
Yeah, right. But regardless, that's really not the talking point here. The point is NIP, I think they feel like I'm an enemy of theirs, and I'm not. I really like their players. I love talking to DJ. I think he likes talking to me, because we chat all the time. But that team, unfortunately, and I think
We're an enemy of the org, not the team.
yeah, but no issue of their own. I think NIP have been plagued over this time by bad, not roster decisions, because I think the academy team was them trying to wank themselves off, but
Yes.
just bad personnel decisions. Because if they had been more aggressive earlier, then maybe Device would have wanted to play again. Because the team was for the longest time just keeping this, they were bobbing in the water. Imagine
I mean, they held in there. I was so amazed that they were still
Constantly competitive.
I was so amazed they stayed competitive. But that also burnt Hampus out.
Yes.
That burnt him the fuck out.
But I give them the 6-month window. If we're talking about NIP, this team right now, if any of them are listening, and they probably aren't, but I will give them 6 months. If this is what they decide they want to do, Alexi in game leader, I like Alexi. S-Attack as a support player, I like S-Attack. Rez as an AWPer, he can grow into it. He's mechanically a very strong individual, and I will not rule him out to be able to do it because he could manifest into something good. But if NIP want to be competitive tomorrow, they will not be with this team. They need a lead-in. They need experience. They need everybody to grow into their roles. Hampus as a star rifler, I can see that. Brolin as that entry fragger, I can see it. I can see it all. But right now,
Can you see Rez as an opera?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
I can. I don't... Look, AWPing... Zywoo doesn't like AWPing. Did you hear that interview that
That's
Launders
his
did with
problem.
him? Okay. Fair enough.
Well, I mean...
He never wanted to be an opera.
Yeah, I know, but, that's a problem.
It is a problem. Well, is it a problem if
I
he
don't know if
slips AWPing everybody?
if he doesn't like opping. Does he not like opping?
He prefers rifling.
He just didn't want to do it originally.
Yeah,
It's not that he doesn't like hopping, he just prefers rifling.
I don't like using the most powerful gun in the game. It's like he has the railgun and he doesn't like it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know where NIP goes. I'm with you. I like all them too. I like talking to all those guys. Super nice. DJL's cool.
DJL's fucking sick,
talked
man.
with S-Tag at the bar the other night. I've talked to a couple of those guys. So I mean, I don't know. They just seem to have a weird. There's something just off.
They're in
the team,
NIP. That's the problem.
There's something really off there. Yeah, and they're in NIP. So
They could be worse. They could be in Astralis.
Is that worse? Yeah, probably.
As an org, I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know. I just like talking shit about this.
I like how Device came back and then he's not going to play this tournament.
Oh, that's wild.
Ooh, that's a wild one.
Let's talk about the major still. So who else we got there? I have to say, like,
Big? Do we want to say anything about Big?
No.
Okay.
No, because this didn't feel like the complete Big.
Actually, I felt like this was better than the complete Big.
Yeah, they were always
because
better.
there was no
with the standard.
expectations.
Yeah, but like Sin was
But
their best player at this event.
What are the expectations? What? No.
Yeah, he was
I
the
don't
highest
know.
rated player.
All I'm saying is, bro, when you're banging a chick and it's a one-night stand compared to when you're doing it with the same every night of the week, there's no expectations
true.
to how good it's going to be. Maybe one-night stand sex is good. Maybe it's terrible. You never know.
Yeah,
And funny, that's the way that went. I told you we were going to say, like, you know, you're fine with this girl for a one-night stand, but if you have to be in a relationship with her, it's like too much.
That works too.
that works too. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no, Sin was their highest rated player going into that Navi series.
Wow, okay. Well, Searson had a great... We were talking about
Yeah.
it. Searson and Tapson had... But Tapson was the worst player.
Searson's Atlanta now.
He's one of the worst-rated players at this event, so he was obviously very disappointed in the post-game loser interview. But yeah, obviously they were never going to beat Navi, and that's what they get for not beating Fnatic. That was their chance to qualify.
Yes.
And talking about Fnatic, you guys know I've said it on this podcast before that I'm their friend. You know, I think they play good CS. I never had them making top 8. I had them making this stage.
They're
I didn't have him
Fringe
getting out of
team.
challenger stage. Fuck.
I had them making legends, and I had the outsiders the whole time making top 8.
Yeah, I'm with you.
So Fnatic had the luck of the draw, getting to play big in the 2-1 series, right? That was very helpful. But they did beat NIP, and then they lost to outsiders, and then they beat
had a hard
Mouse.
run in
They beat Mouse in the 1-1
Challenger
game.
run was harder than their Legends run.
Yeah, kinda. But you know, I think it's great for them. Happy for Crims to be back in the playoffs.
Yeah,
he hasn't
happy
been in
for
the playoffs since.
Happy for Khan paying attention to his
2018
Counter-Strike.
something.
Face it, right? I'm just happy for Khan paying attention to his
Happy for
Counter-Strike
Khan.
division did pay off.
Well, Fnatic, eventually they got there, right? Like they were struggling, like with the international roster to figure it out, and
they just made bad choices, right? We've all heard a thing or two
well,
about...
but it's you know,
Old Mate.
it's trial and error.
We've all heard a thing or two about Old Mate as an in-game leader, right? So, you
Yeah.
know. I don't want to talk out of school here, but I haven't heard the greatest things. So, you know, this new team, though, you're right, Yanko. I was with the Fnatic train as well because they're strong players. Nikodos, Roy, Mezzi,
These Copenhagen
Crims.
Flames players, man. they're
Fasha was
crazy.
the only one who's kind of unproven, and obviously Mezzi is an in-game leader.
He's their best player this tournament,
And-
and Mez is
He's
the
playing
second
really
highest
well.
rated.
And Travis Scott wanted a photo with him.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
he did.
so that's brilliant. But
Why wouldn't you?
you know, on the other side of things, you have, and I said this about them, and I hate myself. I somehow forgot about Spirit in my pick'ems because I put
put him
NIP
3-0.
in the end instead of Spirit. I would have put Spirit to go through. But you know, a team we talked about this. I told you, like Liquid is a team whose results are better than their
Yeah,
game
they are.
is,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like better than they are, and it showed in the end. Even in the 2-1 game, like. Just seeing Elige, man, it's like, how is this still something I have to watch?
Till?
And like, yeah, it's
Okay.
like, dude, it's not about you. Like, yeah, he's a great skilled player, but it's like, I didn't see him. Like, from that point on, it's like you watch the series and it's like just, you know, straight face, fist bumps, and whatever, and you like lose a close series really that you didn't necessarily have to. And I told you, I tweeted at you, Jason, like you tweeted, you know,
Yeah.
Liquid, I need them to say my pick, because I needed them as well, but I feel like Spirit is going to give them the
Yeah.
D. Why? Because I fucking love Team Spirit, because they don't
Spirit's
give a
cool.
fuck. Like
Yeah.
Patsy just running around, like playing aggressive. Chopper has really grown into the in-game leader role.
like
It's
Chopper a lot.
And today, Fame said, even in our talk, is like Chopper is like everyone respects him, like in the CIS scene as an in-game leader. Wonderful is coming into his own. And have, you know, Siren, who came from their academy team, like every now and then he just has a baller of a game, and Magus as well. Like those two feel like every now and then they pop off, like, but they're definitely, you know, have a good floor, so to speak. And
They're
I'm
a
like,
fun team.
they're just there's as much on the line for them as there is for Liquid.
Yes.
But there's so much more pomp around Liquid.
Yes.
They don't have that. That's the benefit of being a CIS team. People will ignore you.
Well-
Everyone will talk. Most of the fans and the vocal fans and the loud fans are from the West. So you just quietly go about your fucking business, own these cons, and secure yourself a second fucking in a row playoff spot.
Bang!
We also
Mic drop.
He did actually drop
Yeah.
it too, right on the dick. Well done. I think I don't know. Liquid was a tough
It's fine.
one.
I'm hard right now. It didn't hurt.
Does it hurt more when it's harder when it's
PG-13.
flaccid?
I
don't know. It's just the balls that hurt.
Yeah, it's the balls.
It's
that
the
hurt.
balls that
It's
hurt.
the stomach.
For all the female, listen.
So that's all right. We don't have to give birth. That's fine.
We're 2 weeks
That's
into
why
this. Just give us a break. Yeah, I don't know. The liquid is. I was a little bit stunned by this, but this circles back to the conversation we already had, which we don't need to go back into, about like mentality and about kind of the team environment and like
Does Nitro have
hyping
to
yourself
go?
up. See, that's one concern I had when this team came together. Was I was sat there and I was just like, this really puts a clock. And I hate saying this because I love Nitro as a person. I actually really like him as a player too. But this puts a lot of pressure on him to prove that he can be a bomb site anchor, right? This actually puts that you have to learn. Yeah, and throughout his career in North America and internationally, he has been the X Factor guy who moves into all the different roles. He was an entry fragger when he started. He was expected to become a star player. He's opt. He's in-game led. And now it's like the only position left for you is to be a bomb site anchor. And it's at this stage in your career where the bomb site anchor needs to be incredibly skilled. Like incredibly like mechanically skilled.
You have great aim.
Yep. And that's where I think it's going to be a lot of pressure where, especially with Yakinder taking more of a leadership role within the team and being really involved in changing the team tactically and strategically, you start to see a world in which like Nitro's role within the team is going to get slowly degraded and the value of it is going to slowly descend. And that's going to be probably by the end of the year, I think.
Is it another import or is it a North American?
I think this is probably my biggest gripe about the North American scene right now is it would have to be, I have to imagine they go for an import. Because remember, like this team has always been geared on winning now.
Shuey?
They don't want to go through that process.
Shuey or Jerry?
Shuey or Jerry?
If Jerry doesn't go to Navi.
And it's just, but like that's the scary thing for me where I don't want to say it because I know that if you bring in another import, that is just going to begin the process of Liquid slowly going out of North America entirely.
I'll say another thing you don't want to say. Changing Nitro for a better like player in-game leader will get them to playoffs of tournaments. To get contender status, they need to get rid of Elige.
Oh no!
And get like
full art here.
And get like a different, I don't want to say floppy. I'm not sure about that. But if you want to stick to NA, right? But it just feels like.
Do you need Do you need to prioritize an in-game leader if you're going to change that though? If the Yakinder is going to be more and more vocal?
Thinks it's. I think you. The only reason you say that is because it's mental.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Yes. And
so how do you fix his mental?
Whose?
Elige's. Can we fix his mental?
No.
So we don't think we can fix his mental?
No.
Even though no matter how skilled he is, how talented he is, we can't fix his mental. It's going to plague the team forever. That's
Listen,
your view.
Elige is skilled. Is he Nico level good of a player where he can get you to a final of a major on his own back?
No,
pretty good with the Deagle, though.
Yeah, but not single-handedly.
No, right? Is he the type of a player like Electronic is that's more passive and, can like do a lot of things in that sort of as a closer? No, he's always been an aggressive player.
Well, he's still...
You have Yakinder now on your team who's taken Elige's role, so Elige can be, and he's like flourishing that second role. So
I don't know
how
if
much
it's
of a
ready
loss
for
it
that.
is for Liquid if you remove Elige for now.
I'd just send him to a shrink fucking 7 days a week.
Chad, if there's abundancy of a certain type of a player, what type of a player is that? Young, talented rifler, good mechanically skilled.
Elige is extremely experienced. Elige has a lot of experience, and
you know who else has a lot of experience? Naf.
Yeah, true.
Also on that team.
True.
OC looked good this event too.
Yeah,
I'm not ready for the conversation about Elige out of the team. I don't know
Nitro
if it's quite there
situation,
yet.
Bro,
Yeah.
I'm just like, this is personal for me. Because I feel like, not with Elige, but I feel like Elige is everything that people make out Nico to be.
Oh,
Back on Nico, of
okay.
course.
Yeah.
Shout out.
Yeah, I know.
Right? So everyone's, people say Nico, you need to remove him. You're going to win titles. Everyone. So I feel like that's the solution for Liquid. Not for
Nico
Nico,
to
of course.
Liquid.
Never remove Nico.
Nico to Liquid?
Yeah. If you have the money, it would
Yeah,
be
that's
worth
got to
it
be
for
an
you.
expensive contract.
All right, well, we've just solved it.
Yeah, I
Who's
guess
going to
so.
in-game lead? I don't think Nico and
Nico.
Yakinder could be in the same room.
You don't think so?
Well, if Yanko thinks Yakinder's arrogant, I think Nico would think Yakinder's arrogant.
Listen now.
Listen, you got to play with arrogant players.
I said do it with that fine line. He's crossed a little bit to arrogance. I don't think he's like commander in chief.
Can he come back? We can get him back.
Yeah, he will. I think he will. But in a year or
Okay.
2, once he's matured a little bit. For him, this is still like year 1, 2. This is his first. Yes, but
Third
the first
major.
year of full lands all the time. It's just like this is still relatively new to him, and also. Whatever. I don't want to talk about Liquid anymore. Let's move on.
Okay.
Should we go to the winners now?
Yeah,
Because
let's
the only
go to
other
the champion
losers is
stage.
Sprout. I don't think. Look, no offense to Sprout, they obviously have a lot of talent there, but I don't think we need to spend too much time on
No,
them.
but they did fuck up my own.
Start to Astralis as well.
Let's start here because I'm a winner.
Okay.
I'm still in the running for a diamond coin.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
not.
me too.
I'm not.
if I like run and get myself a diamond fucking coin.
I can buy a diamond coin.
I'll get a wooden coin by the end of this fucking tournament.
Yeah, in terms of that stage, I had Spirit 3-0 and I had Big 0-3. So
Okay.
neither of those landed. I had Cloud9. I had FaZe. I had Outsiders. No, I didn't have Liquid. I changed them.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, because Valve left it open. So as soon as they got 16-2'd by Mouse, I went and changed it.
You still didn't make it.
Yeah, right.
Had two cracks at
I changed it for NIP. That was
Okay.
the worst decision I ever could have made.
Yeah, that didn't look good.
So the ones that I got, I had Cloud9, I had Outsiders, I had Heroic, and I had
Mouse? No, you didn't.
Navi.
Navi. Yeah, I missed on Vitality, FaZe, and NIP.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. If I had changed NIP,
Well, if it makes you feel any better, your change didn't affect anything at the end of the day because
no, I could have left Liquid. I still would have lost.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make me feel bad.
I hate myself for putting Liquid in the end because I didn't believe in them. I hate myself for missing out on Spirit. I somehow overlooked them. I got Fury as my 3-0, so I had Cloud9 go through. So after day 2, I had 2 picks already locked.
Yeah, you were feeling good.
And I had Outsiders, Navi. Those went through.
Oh,
but
I
I
didn't
also
mention
had
Outsiders. I had Outsiders as well.
I had Vitality, FaZe, Liquid, and NIP too. So,
Yeah.
and Big as the 0-3.
But Jason,
But 0-3, no one got the 0-3 right. I feel like
No,
maybe a couple of people with NIP.
I
Maybe
had Nip as my 3-0, and then I had FaZe, Liquid, and then I had the ones that went through. Navi,
All right, Jason.
Outsiders, Furia,
so.
Heroic.
You want me to tell you how I'm gonna make people forget about my pick'ems?
Absolutely.
And still come out on top.
I
So,
would.
get 100% on the bracket.
so the bracket is gonna look like this, Chad.
Oh wait, hold on. Can I run to the bathroom?
Yeah, go run to the bathroom.
Because I'm gonna
We'll hold
piss
on the
myself
floor.
right now.
Yeah, we got it.
So you want me to save the bracket until the comeback?
Yeah, save the bracket. We'll
Yeah,
get that
all right.
conversation.
So what else did we have in there that we didn't really touch on? Heroic, I thought I had a bad feeling about them that they're gonna fail. They ended up doing well for themselves. Who did they beat in the 2-1 game?
Sorry, I'm timestamping.
Yeah, I know, but who did they beat? They lost to Cloud9 in the 2-0 game.
Who are you talking about right now? I can look it up.
The Heroic.
Heroic.
2-1 game. Liquid. They beat Liquid, right?
Yes.
Because Liquid picked Vertigo.
Yeah, that was the.
And
Liquid
Caden
version.
had like 30-something kills on the
Yeah,
first
he had a
map.
good game. And that was good. We talked about him too because like he was quiet. It felt for Heroic for a while, but he'd been picking it up the past month or so.
I mean, that game he was obviously insane. But yeah, Shursh has had a great event for them out of nowhere.
Yavi looks way more comfortable within that team,
Yeah, so now they're looking like they're going to get some steam, which
which is good.
once you hear my pick'ems, will make a lot of sense.
We
for you,
had this
Jason.
conversation downstairs. You were making fun of me for my pick'ems that I was doing for the bracket stage.
I always make fun of you.
I
so.
set my champion stage pick'ems, and I have them in my head. I have it a picture on my phone. I'm gonna look at it every once in a while, and I'm just gonna like dwell on it, and I'm probably gonna change them by the end of the night. You know?
Yeah, I'm also
I'm
probably
gonna percolate. I went risky with a couple picks in there.
I went too crazy at the start. Now I mellowed down. It's a little bit less crazy.
You went with your heart, I think, on a couple
I did.
things.
Well, also this is the upside down major. I mean, not literally, but
Yeah, I
kind
know
of in
what
a
you
sense of FaZe is out, 0-3, Vitality is out, Liquid is out. A lot of these teams didn't make it. Like for you to think that Navi is now gonna win it all, it's like kind of naive. I feel like with the environment, right?
Yeah.
Like the tournament is theirs to lose now. There's no doubt about that. I think that's going to be the storyline we're gonna push.
I
on
got
the
something for you
broadcast.
while Chad's peeing because I thought about this earlier in the podcast and I wanted to
I think
tell
he
it.
needs to see a urologist as well.
We didn't get a chance. Yeah, it's a long pee. One of my favorite esports stories, because Chad brought it up about how he was, and this is at Chad's expense. This one is definitely at Chad's expense. Is when he was in Renegades and doing the Vegas thing, and he and he was getting all of his paychecks were coming late, like months late. I remember being in Vegas for like one of the E-League kickoff things, and going out to a club, and it was his CEO, not Monty, but
I was with you.
yeah, we took us out to a club, and he was paying the bill. He was paying the
Yes.
bottle service bill.
Yes.
And then Chad's like, a year later, when Chad starts doing work, and he's like, yeah, I was getting fucking paid late, like 6 months late each and every time. And I was like, yeah, bro, he's spending your paycheck on fucking bottle service for me.
Yeah,
A certain
Chris Badawi.
animal was the name of that club.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
something.
can't remember. Yeah.
Chris Badawi.
Yeah.
Oh, Badawi.
So
Badawi.
Badawi.
So
Sounds
the bracket chat.
the
It's gonna
bracket.
look
Sorry,
like
I'm
this.
back. I can think now.
Outsiders Fnatic. Outsiders win. Mouse Cloud9. Cloud9 wins. Spirit Heroic. I want to say Spirit. I want to go with
That one's
Spirit,
tough.
but I have a better thing in mind.
Okay.
Heroic wins.
Okay.
I haven't looked at the maps or the matchup or anything. Heroic wins. Navi, Furia. Navi wins. Outsiders Cloud9.
Okay.
Outsiders win.
Chill.
Heroic Navi.
Wow.
Heroic wins.
Chill. He's crazy, dude. He's losing.
Outsiders
his fucking
Heroic.
mind.
Outsiders win.
Ever since
Outsiders
that
are the major
fucking-
champions.
Outsiders
of Rio.
heroic grand final.
Yes.
Dude, he's lost it.
Is it because he can't get a diamond coin?
Ever since that polka music in the
A little
shuttle,
bit,
he's
but
been
I'll tell you
out of
this.
sorts.
Okay, Outsiders Fnatic. Outsiders stomped them the first time around.
16-1,
It's gonna be different.
16-14.
It's gonna be different maps. Fnatic is a good team. Outsiders are better. Cloud9 Mouse. Cloud9 seems to be in form. Mouse are playing good CS. Stage game in front of 15,000 people.
Now they performed better than you thought in front on the stage
Yes.
against 4,000.
But
people.
that was because Dexter came up with like a career map.
Yeah, that was a crazy.
Torch
They were
is still
losing.
struggling.
They were losing 7-1.
Yeah.
So I'll have Shiro X, I'll Hobbit all day in that
Yeah,
one.
for sure.
Who did it better? SPUNJ versus Titan or Dexter versus...
It's up
SPUNJ
there.
versus Titan.
SPUNJ versus Titan.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate
Spirit
it.
Heroic is like as I said, I love Spirit, but I don't know. I want Heroic because of the Heroic Navi matchup. Navi Furia, if Furia beats Navi, they're gonna win
The major?
probably
Okay.
because
Off of momentum.
yes,
Dude, he's.
but I don't think they
No,
will.
but I think
I
he's
don't think
right.
they will because
No
Navi
way.
is too good of a team
No way.
and too experienced of a team to let themselves get carried away by whatever.
Yes.
Right? So Navi's gonna beat Furia 2-0. I feel like it's not gonna be very close.
Make
either.
it close for the fans, Janko. Give them 3.
It's not going to be because Navi bans Vertigo. Then, Furia, what they're going to do? Pick Nuke, which is was Navi's best map in the year when they were the best team in the world. So I feel like Navi's got that. So Navi Heroic. Heroic always played Navi close. And they've lost to Navi, I feel like, last 4 times they played them.
Yeah, they eliminated them in Antwerp in the quarters, and in the semis of Stockholm, they lost to G2.
And the Pro League where Navi won the Grand Slam, which was before Stockholm, Heroic played them in the semis, and that was the closest Navi got to losing in that tournament.
And Kaden has a belief that him and his team can beat
And that
Navi.
really matters. So this is the thing. What people think, if the team believes that's a good matchup for them, they're going to play with more confidence, and that's all that matters, no matter how ridiculous it looks to us. So I feel, if I ask you, if Navi and Heroic play 5 times, how many times is Heroic going to win?
Twice. But that's because I believe kind of like you.
Yeah, I would say once.
I think they could win
once
twice.
or twice.
I was gonna say once.
So if they lost last 4 times,
Yeah.
right? It has to come sooner or later. Unfortunately for Navi, I think it will happen if they meet, that Heroic will beat them.
Okay.
And then Heroic in the grand final, I think Cloud9 is going to collapse because they've collapsed every single fucking time that you thought they were going to do something.
Holy
They
shit.
fucking
Guy's
collapsed.
lost his
So I
mind.
think they're going to collapse again.
Yanko Damas here.
They're going to collapse again.
No.
Outsiders are going to beat them in that sort of a matchup because also right now Cloud9 3-0, they've been playing better. It's them versus Navi. The 2021, the early 2021 finals that we've seen, everyone sees it.
Yeah.
They can't handle that shit. There's too much talk about them. Outsiders in that matchup is Spirit in the Liquid matchup. No one's fucking talking about them. They're just expected to lose because of the storyline or whatever. They're gonna fucking win that game. Then you have JM and Kickert back in the major grand final for the
Second time
since
Starlight
Berlin.
Yep.
Since Berlin, right? Going up against Heroic, and that's more of a coin toss.
Baby
for me.
Astralis.
Because I like to say in these games, it's about also having experience of playing big games and like the amount of pressure that's on you.
They don't
And
have
neither
any.
team have really much. But I'm going with Outsiders because Jame, I trust Jame more than I trust Cadian.
Ooh.
It's never gonna get there. This part of his stock
every
doesn't matter.
single
It's never
person,
happening.
every single person you talk to or ask about Jame, today Fame said, this guy is, I think he's the smartest person in the world. It's like,
They're indoctrinated.
no,
aren't
because
they?
it's like he.
They all wear robes.
Yeah,
Flip
it
did
goes.
say he's really good with experienced players and he's really good with young players, like helping bring them up. Like there's
Okay.
a lot of, and I said on another podcast a couple episodes ago, Yakinder even told me himself that he thinks James is like one of the smartest players. Like tactically, he loves the way James thinks about.
And
Okay.
the one thing I will say that might not happen, that Outsiders might fuck something up along the way, is because they lost a game at the RMR to Heroic. I think in the 2-1 game, I think it was to Heroic. They had the lead on Inferno. They had good situations and they kind of were too hasty. It seemed like they panicked a little bit. They weren't as calm. Now, they look better at this tournament when it comes to that. But come playoff time, maybe they're still like, maybe Paris Major is like where they really hit their peak, right? Maybe this one is too soon.
Dude,
but I like how they play. I love how much fucking they make it hard for you to play against them.
Cloud9 is never going to lose Outsiders.
No one is buying the pay-per-view for what Yanko's selling.
No,
so
it's
Jason,
horrible.
be our Dana
Exactly,
White.
but I've sold you guys, and now you think it's possible. Now you're
I don't
second
at
guessing
all.
your pick.
I don't at all.
Yes, you are.
Okay,
Jason.
Cloud9 is going to beat
Liar.
Mouse. The only obstacle I have for Cloud9 right now is they've had these days off.
3 days, 4 days.
Maybe they lost some of their mojo. Maybe they lost some steam and some momentum. But I think Mouse in the first game is going to help them get back into things. I think that's going to be a forgiving matchup to them where they can be slow starting, they can make some mistakes, and they'll come back. I have Outsiders beating Fnatic as well. They're going to make it to the semifinals.
Okay.
That semifinal of Cloud9 Outsiders, in my mind, those two teams, like Cloud9 is everything that I wish Outsiders was, which is playing with some heavy swinging balls, like actually making, like Cloud9 at this event has looked good.
Wait.
What did you just say?
He just said Cloud9 have balls.
Yeah.
You're saying outsiders
At this
don't
event,
have them?
No, Outsiders plays the fucking percentages like a bunch of pussies the whole game. They just play it to the end. They grind you down, and I respect that style to a certain degree. But you can't win championships. You can't win majors like that. Yeah, exactly.
I'll see you on
Except
Monday.
Cloud9 has balls.
Dude, wait until you see. Look, okay.
Listen, every male has balls, Jason. You know, you didn't make a massive statement here. Theirs are so fucking tiny that you probably need a fucking microscope to find them. Come fucking playoff time.
Yanko's asking if they've dropped yet. But okay, continue.
No, Cloud9's going to take Outsiders. They're going to be in the final. The other side of things is where it gets a little bit spicy because I'm on board with Yanko to a certain extent with like the Spirit Heroic. Like I feel like Heroic is going to win that, but I want Spirit to win it because I really like watching Spirit play.
Okay.
I have Heroic beating him right now, but that's one of the ones I might flip flop on in my pickups.
Okay.
Fury and Navi. I think that could be a little bit of a trap game for Navi. However, like I think Fury could actually win that to an extent.
How?
I don't know. I don't actually know because here's the other side.
Why?
Why? I just said I don't know. I just feel that way.
So why?
I'm giving you my feelings here. My emotions.
So it's your gut feeling.
Yeah, it's a gut feeling.
He can get away with that.
It's a gut
that
feeling.
works.
But I think the obstacle.
He's hungry.
The obstacle for Furia too, though, remember, is like I think a lot of people are going to get trapped by the sense that Furia are playing in front of like the home crowd, and I think that boosts them. But if you remember, the first day of the Legend stage,
yes,
Furia did not look good. They lost their game in front of the crowd. They felt the nerves of the crowd.
Big.
And I think if you put them in front of an 18,000 person crowd, I think that's actually going to be harder on Furia than like I think that's a whole new step up. So I have Navi winning it, but I think there's a chance that Furia could surprise.
They don't have a map pool to beat Navi.
But here's the thing.
Yes.
I also have I know that. I also have a little bit of a fear of Navi right now though because they looked slow against Big. They looked really rough against Big.
Perfecto was their highest rated player in that series.
But Perfecto carried a lot of it. SDY did a good job in the early going into those games to keep them alive as well. And I mentioned this as well. They don't feel like Navi doesn't feel to me. And it's just continued here at this event. And this has nothing to do with Counter-Strike. This has absolutely nothing to do with Counter-Strike. But they much different from when we saw them at Stockholm, being very like they were team oriented. They were busting their ass, hardworking. All their interviews, they were all on the same page. This team, like here at this event, feels very disconnected. Like I don't see any of them together ever. And like,
they've got fucking porn stars here. You know, they've got family here. And there's lots of distractions.
I mentioned it previously. There's a lot going around with Navi, and obviously with all the different situations throughout the year, I think this team has slipped a little bit in focus. So I don't think they're going to be that dominant Navi that people expect them to be throughout this run. I think there's going to be some difficulty,
some hiccups.
So I do have Navi Heroic in that semifinal. I would take Navi for that one, and I'm booking us a Cloud9 Navi final.
Now that is the best storyline final, right? I'll agree wholeheartedly in that being the best storyline final if Cloud9 win. Yes, because
it's going to be a coming of age tournament for Cloud9,
and they're already
just like we said for Cologne, where they lost to Liquid and Astralis.
But I didn't say that at Cologne.
Look, they're already on the hero's journey, right? They've gone from the 0-3 challenger stage to the 3-0 in the legend stage, and now they go into the playoffs. I agree with you that their biggest problem right now is the lack of playtime going into this match against Mouse. But the thing with the Mouse game, and this is I can't quantify this. I think Cloud9 are the favorites. I think Cloud9 will win, but they've never played against each other.
You want to know this, Jason? There's a higher chance of Cloud9 losing to Mouse than there is for them to win the tournament.
Holy shit, he's doubling down.
He's
doing the classic double down.
Why is he doing this?
Not to win the tournament, make the finals.
Okay, make the finals. That's even worse.
Yes, for you.
So he doesn't think that they can win, and definitely doesn't think they can make the finals.
You've lost it. Cloud9's getting
This is it, Yanko. This is what's going to happen here, mate. This is how it's going to go down. Ready?
Here we go.
Yeah.
Do you need to see the bracket?
No, I don't need to see the fucking bracket. Don't worry about that shit. So they're going to pick up the win. They're going to take down Mouse. It's going to be a good game. Mouse are going to come in. They're going to show some good Counter-Strike. But the thing is, they don't have a safety net. People can say it's Frozen. That's fine. But he isn't the safety net of the team. It has to be your AWPer or it has to be some other fucking big baller. I think Frozen's a great player. But compared to Shiro, they're going to get... Like, Shiro's fucking going to destroy them. This kid...
Please don't have dropped off Shiro. Please.
He's not going to have dropped off.
Okay,
if right now Shiro is going to look at this fucking crowd and go, you guys said fuck me. Well, guess what? Fuck you. I'm about to push your shit in, right?
Do you think he'll have the crowd? Surely against Mouse at least.
I don't think so.
Okay.
They got jerseys. The Cloud9 didn't invest in shit.
Shiro,
Mouse
why
has
is the one
jerseys.
Yeah. So what's going to happen is, right, old mate Shiro is going to come through. He's going to drop some fucking bombs. The team's playing well. Hobbit's a fucking god as well. He's back on that stage. He's like, it's been a long time since I've been here, motherfuckers. I've won one of these bitches before. There's going to be a lot of confidence. Cloud9 going to just get through. Mouse, it's probably a 3-mapper, but it'll be a good game. Never seen them play. Don't know how it's going to work, but it's all good. Outsiders, sure. Okay, here's the deal. Fame, Norbert, no experience. Everybody from Cloud9 at least has some. That game will be another one. It's going to be one of the slowest, most boring games of Counter-Strike in the history of major playoffs, but it's going to happen. Cloud9 are going to get through that. They're going to be in the grand final. Na'Vi, they're going to run the bracket on the other side. This is going to be Cloud9, their coming-of-age story against Na'Vi in the grand final where Shiro fucking pops off with some crazy big dick fucking plays and makes a name for himself, and then his face is on the side of this fucking hotel. It's massive. We love Shiro. He's the new big dick, the new one in Swing Campus. He's not just him.
You skipped over Spirit Heroic. Who do you think is going to win that one?
Heroic.
Okay.
Yeah. And I look. I
wanted to, yeah.
A lot of confidence.
No, because I had Spirit as my 3-0.
Okay.
And I think that they can definitely... Look, Spirit have a lot of respect for Heroic. Because I did an interview this morning. I had Heroic on one side. I had Spirit on the other. And also, Striker was telling me that there was some stuff in the interview about how they watched a lot of Heroic stuff. And they like the approach. Siren, I asked the question, what do you think Heroic's biggest strength is? He says he thinks they're the smartest team. That was it.
Really?
Right? He thinks they're the smartest team.
Smartest team.
Yeah, I also asked them, I said, Shush, you and Siren play similar positions. You're both anchors. So I said, Shush, have you watched any Siren demos? He goes, no, but I probably should. And Siren goes, yeah, I've watched lots. So there's a real respect from the Spirit side onto Heroic. Now, that could work against them in this environment, but like you feel, I don't think Spirit give a fuck. However, they definitely have the crowd against them. And to say you don't give a fuck about a crowd as a 17-year-old, two 19-year-olds, I don't know how fucking old Magic's is, maybe 20, 21 at most, and Chopper's 25. Once you're up there and there's an entire arena booing you, because Heroic are the fan favorites in that game. That is undoubtedly the case. That's the intensity of that. It's a lot. It's gonna be a lot to deal with.
Here's a question, because I'm having a little bit of a brain fart. Is this the exact same team that was in Antwerp Spirit?
No.
Dexter and Wonderful. Yeah, they
But
swapped.
This is the thing. Dexter obviously doesn't shy away from the moments, which means that now. Look, that's a positive thing. All right, everybody. Just gonna make sure. I want to make sure I'm very clear about this. So. I have to. Everyone thinks I hate him. I don't fucking hate him. But Dexter doesn't get scared. And I know Patsy doesn't get scared, but I'm not saying Wonderful will, but Wonderful's a passive AWPer. So somebody else might have to step up to that plate to be alongside of Patsy. And if that's the case, so far it's looking like Siren. And he's a fucking anchor. So I don't know. Like, I want Spirit to win. I think they're a cool team, man. What if we have four CIS teams, bro, in the semis? That's crazy.
That'd be weird. It's very possible too. It's very possible.
Very possible.
I think Spirit Heroic is probably low key, probably the interesting matchup in terms of exciting gameplay in the quarterfinals.
I agree.
Fury and Na'Vi is going to be really cool, obviously, for the environment.
It could be,
and
right?
It could be very cool.
It could pop off, but there's like a 30-70 chance. Whereas Heroic
it's the most 50-50 game we got.
It's 50-50 game, but it's 100% it's going to be a good game.
Yeah.
Well, 99%. Never go 100%.
Never, ever.
Never go 100%. That's a problem. I wanted to ask this question.
Okay.
And I'm going to take us off. Look, I know because we're obviously just spitballing here what we think is going to happen. Wait,
can I grab one of those beers?
You want to take this one?
I'm in the mood now.
Take this one.
Okay.
I think that I honestly think that Na'Vi are going to win. Right, I'm building the best storyline for Cloud9 to be the victors, but I think Na'Vi are going to win overall. But I wanted to ask you guys a question about this.
Na'Vi are a big favorite. I think that also needs to be stated, because you look like they play a Furia team that they've... I think, look it up, Jason, but I think like if you look at their matchups, historically, I think Na'Vi hasn't had problems.
I wouldn't imagine
with Furia
so.
and...
Not that style.
And listen, this is the thing. I looked this up today when I was looking stats for the Outsiders Fnatic game. Furia has a 4v5 win percentage of 51%.
Yeah.
That's insane. Like,
There's
a man down, they
up.
win more
There's
rounds
no
than they
way
lose.
That keeps up.
Right? Who did Furia beat?
Nobody good.
Yeah, that's the short end.
Furia beat Big 2-0, Spirit 16-13, and End 16-6.
And the Spirit one was a big one. And what happened in the Spirit game? They lost 11-4, right?
11-4 first half, and it should have been even more for Spirit. After Alex and I praised them for the entire half up until the final 2 rounds, they were so reserved, they weren't over-peaking, and then they had one round where they all decided, for whatever reason, to feed themselves to drop, and he got a fucking ace. And it wasn't even a good ace. It was like an ace that you forget about.
And there was a couple of Serato clutches in there, and I was in the first, I was like, yeah, man, it's fucking Spirit. They don't give a fuck about the crowd. Like, their even fucking guy went out, and the guy was like...
He was trying to get them on side.
So their last game, Navi Furia, was in Katowice this year. I'm assuming that's Katowice. 2-0 win for Navi in the series, 16-12, 16-2. The last time Furia beat Navi was March of 21.
That's online.
That's online. Yeah. So it's just like one of these things where...
Furia was rough in the online era. Let me tell you that.
Yeah. Well, when Henny was there, they were good.
Yeah.
But
actually, that probably was a Henny game.
Yeah, but that just...
If it was a Henny game, then there you go.
It's just like you watch Furia and they just keep coming at you. It's like for someone like Blade...
It's a junior game.
For someone like Blade...
It has to be a blast.
Was
it a blast?
Game.
No, Pro League.
That was at Pro League season 13.
All right. Fair enough. Junior game.
So yeah, like they have that in their pocket. Then they have either Spirit or Heroic. Heroic, they've always had the upper hand over, and Spirit, a domestic matchup sort of, but they're like the big dog, and they have the experience in those games. And you have to remember, those Spirit they put up the biggest fight to FaZe.
Yes.
At the Antwerp Major.
That was a sick game.
That's not going to be an easy game for Navi, but I feel they... And you also need to understand, someone like Simple, he lives for stage games.
Yeah.
Big moments, big games, like...
I talked to him when he first got here, and he was so pumped. It was like, I was like, hey, have you been watching from home? Is this like cool? Are you excited for this? And he's like, yeah, I'm actually like, he's like, I'm super excited. I'm nervous. Like he actually told me he was a little like nervous because
it's the biggest event ever.
Yeah.
Like, in terms of a lot of things. So you get that and you get to the final, and whoever is on the other side, they're 5 times more experienced than whoever is on the other side of the bracket. I feel like Simple would tell you he wants Cloud9 because they were losing to them a couple of tournaments early in 2021 online. Mm-hmm. Everyone else would probably say anyone but Cloud9. I mean, not everyone else, but if you ask Blade or something, right? Like those teams are so familiar. That was so weird. They played each other in the which game? 1-0 game here.
Say it again.
Navi Cloud9. They played like in one. This is the first time they played this year.
Yeah.
And they played 13 matches last year, 35
right.
maps last year, and this is the first time they met. So it's mental. So.
And I think Cloud9 was up in that game, weren't they? Or no.
No,
Navi was up
won
in
that game.
That was one of the Cloud9 CT
on,
side comebacks.
Yeah, overpass or Mirage. Yeah, I was surprised by that. So and for Cloud9,
9-1 run.
For Cloud9, if you're looking for more, even though I don't trust them, but if one of the reasons why you could trust them is because they've had a lot of comeback wins, which needs mental fortitude.
I can tell you something as well that's going to help you believe to get you back on track, back into reality as an NFL fan.
Okay.
Defense wins championships, Yanko.
Fucking hell, Jason.
Defense wins championships.
You believe it or what?
Offense wins games.
You believe it?
Defense wins championships.
What, me? No. I have no reason to believe them. I'm not believing them until they do something. I don't believe them.
We asked Flit and Flame.
Who this is reminiscent of? TSM. The Danish lineup, like the Astralis guys before they became Astralis. Yeah. Like they had
probably Dignitas as well. The defensive sides.
They had everything. Not just the good CT sides, but also just this team is talented enough, good enough, has enough experience at this point that they should be able to be this. Like the teams that they beat in groups, they lose to them in the playoffs, and always it was like a ceiling for them when they reached top 4. And for whatever reason, that seems to be the case for Cloud9. Eventually, TSM became Astralis, and they became the best team in the world. Whether Cloud9 will be able to do that with this 5-man lineup, we don't know. Whether this will be their E-League Atlanta mate or whatever it is.
Here's a question for you. Because we talked in one of the previous episodes of saying if Cloud9 doesn't do something great at this, if Cloud9 doesn't do good at this event, there's a change coming for sure.
Are you asking if they've done good enough?
What if they make it to the finals and lose?
Semis minimum.
Semis minimum?
Semis minimum. And semis minimum because actually no, they have to make the final.
I would say the final.
Bro,
they have to make the final.
Evil Geniuses removed a player after they won the international. So I feel like it's not as dependent on their result as it is on how the team feels.
Yeah, but Dota's so weird with those roster changes around the international.
Yeah, those motherfuckers change roster more than they change underwear.
All right, fuck you guys. I was just trying to make a point, but yeah.
Also, EG, the model for team management.
Yeah, they're doing a great job.
Scientist.
Check this tweet, Yanko.
One time.
Check that tweet.
What's that?
Who do you think said that?
Who sent that?
Khan.
Oh, I see at the top.
It says? Yeah.
At the link.
What do we got here?
It's the evolution of the recycle bin.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Banter.
I like that he's talking
Yeah,
shit.
also,
There.
I
Maybe
don't
Khan, I can
understand-
get him back on side.
Yeah.
I also don't understand why like orgs are going so hard on each other.
No, because they know it's fun.
Well, it's
I-
because they also
the
watch
engagements.
they also watch like how impactful like
Ooh,
the memes are, and they
can I
watch
s-
how impactful G2 social
Can
game
I
is.
send another?
That's
Can I
true.
send a heartfelt fuck you?
yeah, of course.
Absolutely, as many as you want.
Heartfelt fuck you to Messioso, because he was trying to be funny on Twitter, and he
Shout out to
tweeted
Graham.
out, "Where are all those guys? Where are all those like Beamas got done in? Like
I know what
they
you're
all
saying.
seem to
Yeah,
have
yeah,
gone
yeah.
quiet, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I replied, "Still here? What's up?" Never
Yeah.
replied.
No,
Back,
okay.
right? So it
That's
was
what we
all
want
about
on the show,
because
Chad. A heartfelt fuck you shirt.
because there's two things about this. Maybe just maybe if you were focused more on your own fucking situation,
Here we go.
situation,
Here we go. Here we go.
right? Maybe take care of your own fucking mess first, because before you try to be edgy on Twitter, right?
What if Liquid bring Grim back?
Second thing, second thing,
Well, Liege was his downfall, so maybe he can
second
come back.
thing, it's like no one really argued that much about the change itself, but the timing of the change. And I will stand behind what I said.
Yeah, but we know that.
Right? Until so you're trying to be edgy, trying to be like a little fucking weasel. That's not gonna fucking happen on my fucking watch.
Why don't you take it
Instead,
as
your
comedy?
biggest success is like almost beating washed up Brazilian team for a spot at the major.
They got Halzak now, though. So.
And getting like what? Oh yeah, they got into the playoffs of Pro League.
Yeah.
Con fucking grats. That's all your accomplishments this year. Great. Things are going so great. Let me see if I can be funny on Twitter.
Look. Most people would understand the rationale of why this Beamer shit, right? Because it's a kid now. He's been thrown out into the wild, and it meant that he wouldn't have an opportunity to even try and play the major, even if he wanted to, right? So they're mutually exclusive, right? They don't have to be
Exactly.
right. So
And a sensible person would be aware of that and hence not make the tweet.
But we were just talking about orgs and banter, so maybe Graham was just trying to banter. Maybe Graham likes you, Yanko, and he's just maybe it wasn't directed at you.
It wasn't directed. Yeah, it wasn't directed at me. I didn't think it was directed at me. I just think it's like fuck off.
Man, yeah, fair enough. I can't argue with that. Can't
5
fuck with
years
that.
in.
You can't
Yeah.
fuck with that.
You
It's
can't
all
fuck
good.
with that.
I did have another question I wanted to ask. Let me see if I can reach deep into the back of my brain socket and see if I can fish this one out, Ian.
Okay.
How long have we been doing this for?
2 hours.
Well, I've had a lot of fun today.
I have too.
Yeah.
I've had a good time.
It's not to say I don't have fun every other day,
I
but
feel like we really had a variety of like topics and talks.
yeah,
We've done a really great job conversating.
yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
usually
This is good.
when we just
banter.
hang out, like it's way worse. Jason is on his phone all the time.
yeah,
Oh,
that's
shut
true.
the fuck
That's
up.
true. No, we did. Are we going to go out for dinner? Did Taka reply?
Yes.
He did reply.
Do we have some suggestions?
He gave me. Let's see. I think one.
Is there anybody here from the old boys club that we want to invite?
Speaking of which, I got to send a message about the schedule now that Matt's gone.
Oh dear, man. Oh dear.
All still mates.
No, but look, to be honest, I feel like we're in, from our perspective as what we do as a job, I think we're in like, and this has nothing to do with any of the shit that's happened in recent times or whatever, but I think like we're back in a good place. Like ESL invited a lot of people. We had a lot of talent here. I hate that term still. A lot of broadcasters here, sorry.
Talent.
We have
Talent.
fucking shit name. We've had
we didn't come up with it.
I found my in-ears today. It's a good day. Like in terms of what we've been provided with here, that gaming room obviously, which has been a highlight. Come
Which
on
has
now.
been involved in a lot of
The
things.
beach is
Yeah.
across the road. There's a swimming pool. Like in terms of the only thing that I have had a hard time with is food, but that's my own shortcomings of not really leaving. And that's why I want to go out for dinner tonight, get a decent meal. I would
Let's do it.
love
Let's
I would
go
love
to
to
dinner.
go out for a meal.
It's 5:30 now.
Okay, but
should
we
aim
can't
for
invite
7 p.m.
We can't invite
dinner.
Harry because he's got to convert this into a YouTube video.
Yeah, Harry, do it.
So it shouldn't take him too long, especially if he's
I'm just
using
fucking
Utopia.
around. We can invite Harry.
Yeah, right. Well, but he doesn't.
I mean, we can put the podcast up without the YouTube video and get the YouTube video up
later. Yeah, that works too. I'm just trying to think if there's anything that we haven't really like capped off on here. Like, is there anything that happened across the course of this that we've left out?
We haven't. Well, we could touch on the Astralis thing. We kind of skirted it over. Like,
Oh, yeah.
the device isn't playing
Yeah,
at the
if
Eliza
you guys want,
Invitational.
sure.
It's not like super point. Like
He
it's
took
not
another
poignant news,
break.
but- So I get
Still
this.
funny.
If I was in Device's shoes and I was going to return and have an academy player in my team, I wouldn't want to play either. I would want it to be the full-fledged roster, which maybe is them attempting to get Stare, which is the rumor. If they can get if they can get Stare, Device, Blame, Glaive, they still need one more, right? They still need. Zip's been doing this forever, right? So
He's been skirting the line.
But
he's got 9 lives.
But he was playing 1.6 at the top towards the tail end, right?
Why don't you just get Stare and Zyphon from?
Zyphon would be good. Yeah. Zyphon would be good. I think
that was Yanko's suggestion a while back.
Yeah, it was Yanko's suggestion. But
give the boy credit.
That would be good. Zyphon was the highest rated player for Sprout at this event, and his experience as an 18-year-old kid showed. Yeah. We didn't talk about them. I think Lonks as well is pretty good.
Yeah.
I liked what I saw. I liked the way Lonks carried himself. I also liked the story behind his name, the fact that he's a fan of FNX and his name was Lau, and his name's Lau as well, and an X on the end. I think that's cool.
It's a rough name to cast.
Lonks.
All right. How about something that you guys have no idea that happened that I know that happened?
Okay.
Well, wait. Let me go to HLT.
Blastfall finals groups are out.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I did see that. So it's like GSL groups, and then the top team goes to the semis, and then the other two go towards the quarters, and the last team...
I hate that shit.
Well, it's not like Blast formats are forgiving, Jason, so it's weird that they've decided to do it like this, being so forgiving.
I hate skipping stages. I want like a full fucking playoff.
Well, that's what I want to change about the major, if I'm going to be honest with everybody, right? I would love to change at the major that whole factor right there. I wish, and I can't come up with a format right now, I'm going to do a lot of thinking about it, but I would love to have all 24 teams, no challenger, no legend stage, just a group stage, and then the playoffs, where we have a format to get those 8 teams through. Now, there's a lot of different formats we could suggest, and none of them that I can come up with on the spot are good enough, so I won't even bother suggesting it, but I think that I don't like the idea of having a challenger stage and then a legend stage. I want to have just a stage.
You cannot call it a major just because people get stickers. Like, if the top 8 teams on paper, at the very least, you can't phase them, how can you call it, like, when there's like no possibility of doing it? So yeah, I'm happy for the teams that, they get stickers and there's more revenue for players.
Yes.
I'm happy for all of that, but I think like it's a little bit confusing. Like even today, Jason, like when we were doing this, like it's called the new champion stage and we're here with our champions. Imagine someone who's just tuning in.
Yeah, they won the event.
Yeah, so they were like, what do you mean champions?
Yeah,
it's
like
they
champions
won
well, Alex referenced it yesterday in cast, and then like in the break, he had to be like, he was like, I meant champion stage, and I was like, I know what you meant, Alex, right? Like the terminology is confusing in itself.
It's fucked, and Valve fucked it themselves. Like, so we should unfuck this starting from next year, but we'll figure it out.
Well, we have so much influence.
I just want to say Blastfall finals are going to be dog shit. Because of one simple reason.
Jesus Christ.
The major champions outsiders are not at the event.
No, but honestly, like let's this is actually the thing I wanted to talk about.
Rat.
This is what I wanted to talk about. Yeah, Yanko's actually bang on here. Out of the teams in the playoffs, 5 of 8 came from the challenger stage. 5 out of 8 are from ESL partner teams, and 2 out of 8 are Blast partner teams.
And 4 of them are CIS teams.
You mean when you say 2 out of 8?
Navi and Heroic are the only Blast partner teams.
Okay, but they're also ESL.
Yeah. Well, there's overlap there. There is overlap there. But my point is, look, the ecosystem is as it is at the moment. The 3 of us understand probably more than most as to why there's a necessity for partner teams. But this here is showing you that it's just what some of these companies are doing. It's a popularity contest of name as to how they get your viewership. It is not the best Counter-Strike, right? We could chat until the fucking cows come home about the format of this event and seeding and this, that, and the other. But the one thing that you can't fuck with as far as Valve is concerned is this is a meritocracy.
Yeah.
You are where you are based off the fact in their eyes, if you win, you win. If you lose, you lose.
All right, riddle me this, Chad.
Okay.
So the reason why there's partner teams is because back in the day there was more TOs and you wanted to make sure you had the best teams at your tournaments, you got the most views and blah, 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 blah. In this ecosystem, if there were no partner teams, do you think a new player would join or rejoin the circuit like as a TO because they would see an opening? Because probably it's putting off a lot of people out there. Oh, so I can't compete with these people because they have side contracts with the teams.
You mean like TSM as an example, who we know are trying to... Is that what you're talking about?
No, I'm talking about if there were no partner teams, does E-League make a comeback or Star Ladder,
No.
So if that's the case, then there isn't really a lot of downside to just making it more open.
I don't think it's the... Yeah, go on.
No, but I was going to say,
Oh, you mean
the TOs don't want to take that risk.
Yeah.
Well, and also it's not so much about the ecosystem being open or closed. It's more about space in the calendar. It's more about having enough space in the calendar to have your product in front of people time and time again.
I'm going to say something about the space in the calendar and being too many tournaments. A lot of teams, this is their last tournament.
Yes. What's my last
Yeah,
one?
but that's not fair.
Because you have fall finals and world finals.
Yeah,
and that's 2 8-team tournaments.
Yeah, but
and there's
matches.
nothing else.
That's not fair though, because there was supposed to be an IEM Winter,
Which is 8 teams.
which is canceled.
Or was that going
I
to be?
think
Yeah,
it
but
would've been
if you're a TO and you're going to invest millions of dollars, why would you want a space in the calendar where you have to go over somebody else's tournament? Like, why would you want that
But
kind of
you wouldn't
competition?
go over. But
You
I'm
don't have
saying
to.
it's like people are talking about the schedule being too cramped. It's gonna be 14th of November when this event is done,
So we have over a month.
and a team like
And then we have the fall finals in a week, which is 8 teams.
Outsiders that they have no other
there's
events
Alyssa
until like end of.
Masters, right?
Do they play that?
Fanatics there, Astralis is there. That's the
But that's for teams. That's because that place, the winner
For
of that gets a
Katowice.
spot at Katowice.
yeah.
God, Fnatic definitely signed up for that event before they knew they were going to be in the playoffs.
Well, they wouldn't have a spot at Katowice, I don't think, anyway, right?
Yeah.
So I don't know, but this whole
They'll
ecosystem.
have a spot there if they win this tournament. So
Okay. Well, this whole ecosystem conversation, right, and format and everything like that, we can always do this, right? That's the thing that like bothers me the most when I see people being critical of all of this. Are we just trying to prop up the partner teams to be deeper in the tournament, right? When you have something like this, and I understand.
I don't give a fuck I don't even like. I know because of certain segments. It's only like lower teams that are in the whatever fucking Colex thing or whatever because it's a part of the. But I have because of that I know, and because of the news post I know. But I never go into a game and I'm like,
Oh, they're a partner team.
It's a
Yeah,
partner
I don't
team
think
against.
I don't think it colors our analysis or
No.
Definitely not.
our
I don't
conversation.
think it affects us in that way, but it affects the ecosystem as a whole, right? Because you see more names more often than not. The fact that we're going to have Mouse versus Cloud9 as a quarterfinal match, and neither of them are matched up against each other. There's no historic matchup. That says a lot, right?
Yeah, but also that's why. Listen, ultimately, I do hope we become like there's just one TO, and in the end, but it's hard. Like, this is a very deep topic
There's
because
two.
the problem is with sports, no one owns the game of basketball.
Yes.
Right. But Valve owns CS:GO, so they have the final say. But I don't think the solution is, look at the NFL, for example, or the NBA, doesn't matter, right? Like there's a franchise league, and then there's a draft system because the game is so popular. There's a lot of players coming in through the college system, right? Like, so you can always have new players. So I don't think that's definitely not a model that we can recreate, but we could potentially something more to football in Europe, soccer, where it's like, you have the main league like ESL Pro League, then there's the Vplay Academy League, and there's maybe different national leagues and so on, and that's how you get your like players for the main thing, and maybe you have promotion or not, but the point of it is it's like that's when you can really kind of focus and do things. Otherwise it's just like more about Blast is competing with ESL and whatnot, because you look at like
I don't think they're competing anymore.
with NFL, it's
They have a-
like
they have a way
you
better
get
relationship
you
now,
get a lot. It's the most valuable like league in the world, like the TV revenue and whatnot. So everyone's having a fucking amazing time who's
Yeah.
in the NFL. The players are getting paid a shit ton. The teams are super valuable. The executives are getting paid a lot at those teams. The people broadcasting the games are getting paid a lot.
The partners investing are
The
getting money.
the networks are paying a lot for the broadcasting rights because you're getting a shit ton of money for the sponsors, for the ad revenue, and so right. But you need to be able, like, it needs to be a product that makes sense for the companies to pay you that much money to do it, right? And
Well, if we're gonna go down that business road, I think that's the key that you just kind of touched on there is those broadcasting rights, because nobody's how to figure out that gap. When I started casting, I actually
What does that mean? What does broadcasting
so
rights
it's like ESPN will pay hundreds of millions.
it means
dollars
Twitch
to get
will
8 NFL games.
It means
on their network.
YouTube will pay you 50 million instead of
And say-
Twitch paying you 40 million, and you will be on YouTube instead of Twitch.
So you're
So
telling.
remember when Pro League went to Facebook?
So when everybody at home complains about ESL being on Twitch exclusively, they should also be complaining to the partner teams of ESL for ESL being on Twitch exclusively. Is that what you're telling me? So Mouse,
I would-
Fnatic, Na'Vi, Heroic, all of these names are equally.
Well, I think the problem with something like esports, and this is where we don't know how to make up the gap, is I don't think there's any reason for a YouTube like all the
Absolutely.
content
We're not
is on
big
YouTube.
enough
Yeah, there's
for that stuff.
We're not big
It's
enough,
like-
and all the content goes on YouTube anyways. It's just not live.
Yeah, but I'm just asking that question, right? So I know a lot of people at home complain that they can't watch it on YouTube. So is the reason that we're on YouTube
can,
is so that
but
ESL
not
can
English
get money to
commentary.
pay these teams? Is that why?
Wait, say that again.
Is the reason the reason we're exclusively on Twitch is because Twitch will give ESL money to drive traffic to their website, but is the reason that ESL are on Twitch is so that they can then pay the money to the teams to be part of their league? Is that how that works?
I mean, it depends on like the contracts and the rev share model that they have. But,
I don't know the details, right?
Yeah, I don't either.
As much as I'm an ESL shill, I don't know what the fucking contracts look like.
But that's the point. These broadcasting rights is the gap that we need to make up in esports. When I started casting, I bought actually like a college textbook on like sports broadcasting, like history and theory.
Of course you.
Well, because I'm super curious. Like, how do we make this actually work? Like long term, how do you make enough money? And like the big thing was like sports. The NFL was struggling up until they figured out selling broadcast rights for a shit ton of money, and that is where NFL really took off. Was like, I think it was like the late 70s, early 80s when they like started doing the broadcasting rights, and it was like, oh, this is fucking hundreds of millions of dollars.
But we don't have a pay-per-view model. Don't they have a pay-per-view
course,
model?
we're still in
American television and cable is like you pay
a monthly
you pay
fee
for a package and you get like the
that
100
came to
channels.
Australia. Don't you worry. Yeah, we got that too. It was called Foxtel.
We're just like in our infancy, right? Like we're
But we
years
have
and years away from that. But that's like kind of the end game. Like, you know, there was the AFL.
So like the UFC.
So listen, the NFL and there was an AFL. So there was
Australian
National Football
League.
No, National Football League and American Football League, and they merged in the 60s. But prior to that, you had like two leagues.
And the NBA had the NBA and the ABA.
Yeah,
and they merged
also
as well.
until like the 50s or 60s or something like that, right? And the sports existed for like 40, 50 years before that. So, you know, just for the sake of the analogy, imagine, you know, tomorrow Blast and ESL
they merged,
right? And they combined the leagues and combined the partner teams because it was different teams. And these are the teams in our league. And that becomes easier for sponsors and advertisers because they don't need to go to both and look at like who's more popular and do all of that. Okay, this game that a lot of people are watching because it's popular, there's this one thing that's the main, you know, that's where all the best games are played, and we're gonna pay you money to put our ads on that because people are watching it, right? And that's how you do it. Like that's how, and then it becomes bigger, the game becomes more popular, so the money increases, and that just takes off by itself. So I think
that's your phone.
That's your phone next to the
That's all right.
Sorry, my bad. So yeah, I think it's for us that we are still a long way away from that, and that's why what we are doing as talent and what we want to do is create better content, create more content, build better storylines, create a better show, because that will draw more people to watch it.
Emotional
it will draw more eyes. It will make it more appealing to people. We already have the best fucking game for an esport, the easiest esport to get into, right? Like we can,
and we have the most personality in our players.
You know,
everything.
Bigger, like get this game like to more people. You know, it's to me it's still ridiculous. Like when, you know, my mom has always followed like my career, but when I was a coach, she just like fucking started watching games and getting into it. So my uncle did as well. So his friends did, who all of their lives are like sitting down. I remember I was 8 years old. I go out, I come back from running around the ball the whole day, and they're sitting there watching Champions League and drinking beers. And then he sends me a photo when I'm in phase, and they're sitting at the TV watching like us playing against someone and drinking beers, and like the same guys getting mad and yelling at the TV and like they don't understand as much, but they're like investing in it. So, and they enjoyed it. Now my mom's fucking still watching it. Like she watches like, you know, when Nico plays against someone, because she obviously knows Nico, so she like has it on her TV when she's chilling at the house and like watches fucking Counter-Strike. I'm not going to, she almost would have disowned me, a 50-something-year-old woman. But you know, like, so if someone like that can get into CS, then of course every fucking, you know, person who's like a teenager or a young adult who likes video games can get into it. I got into the NFL because of the fucking content. Like the game is so hard to get into, right? Like it's
so much, it's so complex,
right? But the storyline, you like, this team has this and this player, and there's so much content. It's like, wow, this is really cool. Now I'm a fucking fanatic about it. So I really think that's like the way to go, and why we're like trying to push this. And it's gonna take a long time. It's gonna take 5 years, 10 years, 15 years.
It's a marathon, not a sprint. Yeah.
But I think we can get there. You know, if people are just kind of.
It's the same concept I had too, because I know like I got into the Pistons in basketball because I just remember being homesick one day watching a documentary on the Bad Boys Pistons from like the 80s and 90s, and that was fucking sweet. And you fall in love with that story. I'm also from Michigan, so that helps with the local connection. But like you just fall in love with the story of the players and the brand and that kind of, and then you watch the current one, and then you kind of get up to date. And that was my whole philosophy behind like the Greatest Games thing. Was I was at a hotel one day at one of the early events in like 2016. I think I was at E-League. I was in Atlanta, and there was there was like a 1 hour documentary on the 1985 Bears run to win the Super Bowl. And
Insane
I was like, why aren't we doing this for Counter-Strike teams? Like, why aren't we going over historically their sick matches in the grand finals? Why aren't we going over and doing like a 45-minute content piece on a run through a tournament? Like, we could do a phase,
or
blows out New York.
Liquid's Grand Slam round, which they did themselves. Team Liquid did I think a piece on that, but yeah, it's insane. This is the thing, like, because like you bring it to people, because I watch like the NFL, I'm like, bro, there's no way we're the same species. Like these guys are like fucking insane athletes, and so on. Then you watch it and you see what they go through their process, and you understand there's a lot of sacrifice or whatever. I love the quote, this is from Call of Duty campaign. It's like, there's no extraordinary humans. It's just ordinary humans doing extraordinary things, like, or ordinary humans in extraordinary circumstances, right? Like, so that's what it is. That's what you want to try and bring to people. That's when people get engaged, when they understand this guy is like the same as me, right? Like,
and esports is the most accessible for that regard.
True. Exactly, because there's no physical, there's no physical component. I played basketball for 10 years. Serbia, massive basketball country, right? At some point, I realized, bro, I'm not tall enough. I'm not going to be a basketball player. Yes, I believe there's some degree of talent in esports as well that's involved, but in reality, especially in this phase, if you grind enough and you work smart and hard enough, you can overcome any, like, whoever the other talented player is. And that's like such a cool thing, right? Like, there's no limitations for you. You can be the best in the world, like, if you apply yourself well enough.
Counter-Strike's like chess with headshots. Right, like the level that you need to be understanding the game and how dynamic and stuff it is, like the constant maneuvers that are being made and how on the ball you have to be. And we spoke about a lot of mid-round calling and stuff earlier, right? And then you need the mechanical ability on top of that, but that's all up here, right? Like it's all in the head. Like it's all how you can process it, how much practice you can put in, how good you reflexes, obviously to some point, but even still.
One of the most like beautiful moments I ever do when I'm casting Counter-Strike is I love at the start of Inferno rounds. I fucking love when T sides are trying to be aggressive in banana, and you watch the utility exchange back and forth. Like, oh, they just Molotov car. I'm gonna Molotov half wall, and I'm gonna flash this corner, and they flash it back to like. I think that exchange of utility, because there's like 5 different ways to take banana, right? And you never know which one's gonna come out. So like that kind of different mind game throughout the entire course of a match is like one of the coolest things to watch.
And this is like, people maybe don't understand the same level. Like, if you have to make a read at the start, like you have to think of what you think they're gonna do, and then call what the counter is to that in your mind.
Yeah.
And then if you're wrong,
you have to adapt.
It can be bad, but if you're really wrong, you're just dead, right?
If it's an all-in and they do a 3-man stack, GG.
Right? That is like a very basic like example, but also if you're thinking like they're gonna slow fight it, like the kind of what the Shuttle started doing, whatever, ages ago, but they're like more aggressive with 3 guys, and you're already in, but so you can't go back, like you're already stuck, like there's maybe a molly or whatever, like you're gonna take damage because of the spam, and you just jump into tree, and then they throw 2 nades tree, like where the double nades are gonna land, like there or mailbox, and it's like, that's it. And there's so many like micro things like that impact shit. That's what makes like Counter-Strike so cool, because it became so high level where it's like so many little things matter.
I think that's one of the things that frustrates me most when we hear like the stories about like companies not wanting to be involved because of the guns, and I'm just like, put me in that fucking room with the sales guy.
Let us
show you that it's not just the guns.
It's also because you're not selling. Like, I can understand.
Yeah, they sell the wrong.
Our parents maybe, if they were really, well, not ours. They're like, I met Jason's parents. They're very forward-thinking people. But I was gonna say, like older people.
What does that mean?
It means like someone, your dad or my dad might see it and say, "Oh, I don't want my kid to play, a game where you're like killing other people." Or, I don't want this company to. I didn't want like this company to.
I wasn't allowed to see The Matrix when it came out.
Shit. Jesus Christ.
So maybe Jason's dad after all.
Maybe, but. Yeah, the point being, it's like this, and then the advertiser doesn't want to get involved because of that sort of a reaction. But you're not advertising to our parents. You're advertising to like our generation, which everyone like understands. Like, it's a game and they watch it for that reason, And it's ridiculous to me. Like, one of the most mind-blowing things is you just make it animated and it's fine. That's actually a case not just for video games but TV shows.
Yeah.
If it's animated, you can fucking
unless it's hentai.
Yeah, you can. Yeah, no.
you can.
Once you get tentacles in there, we gotta have a conversation.
You can do like whatever. Like, how?
Yeah, Fortnite still has shotguns. You're still shooting someone in the face with a shotgun.
Yeah, Yeah, it's like,
Still a
wow,
rocket
so
launcher,
that's
right?
fine, and this is not. It's like, come on, guys, like, can we just agree that it's all video games and it's all cartoons and that's all like,
I think
fine.
the best example for me is I think in 10 years we're gonna look back on this era of where people didn't want to do like video games with guns the way that like the previous generation, the boomers, were like, oh, like rock music is like for the devil, is like gonna make you like, that's like the equivalent in my mind right now, is just like there's gonna be a realization at one point when enough of our generation gets older and is put in these positions where we're just like, that was fucking stupid.
How long are we going for?
We're now at 2 hours and 16 minutes.
We should probably close it.
I have a good thing to close
last
up
thing.
because what you said was this is one thing that I thought was only in Serbia, but apparently it's global, because I saw it on Instagram and people were replying comments. Yeah, same in Uruguay, same in Ireland, whatever. This rumor that was spread in the 90s, right? That Marilyn Manson
took
out his ribs so he could suck his own dick. Like you both already know about it, right? So that's amazing,
that's
right?
True.
That was before the internet really blew out.
What a legend.
Blew up.
No.
So we're going to leave you with that.
Where did you want us to take this?
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying, like,
You want to have rib surgery?
no.
You want to suck your own dick?
I already can.
Oh.
Yoga.
I see. Yeah, he's a flexible man.
No, I can't touch my toes. It's actually embarrassing.
That story did make it around the world.
It did.
Right?
Yeah, it was in my school.
It was in mine as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was some weird shit in school.
So, shout out to whoever started that.
That one. That was legit.
It really
Well
made
done.
its way around the world.
Shout out to Marilyn Manson.
Shout out to Marilyn Manson.
Okay, and I'm going to shout out another podcast here. It's not a Counter-Strike podcast.
Here we go.
Right.
It's one that I listen to, and if other people are interested in comedy podcasts, I would recommend a podcast called Dudesy. They're on their 33rd episode, and it's an AI podcast where there's two people, Will Sasso, maybe you know Will Sasso, but he's with a guy, he was an actor, he's a comedian, he still is, with a guy called Chad Kulchin, who is he writes scripts and shit. But anyway, they have an AI that determines week in, week out what the segment's going to be and what they're going to talk about, and it curates all of it, and it's fucking unique as shit. And I've been listening to it now, and if other people are interested in comedy style podcasts, it's a bit of fun.
Could we experiment with that? If there's like a down week, maybe over like the Christmas break?
Maybe we can
got
get in their
nothing to chat about?
Discord and see if we can have like a crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Okay. Talk to your boy.
Cool. Bye.
Well, see
Bye.
you.